Chapter 1209. The entire audience broke out in a round of applause. It was a gift for the low profound Class 2's perseverance, and a celebration for the high profound Class 1's victory. Both sides bowed and retreated from the stage. Soon, a manservant went up the stage to clean up the place and repair the damage. The areas which were damaged by Yi Qing Luo and Shangguan Liuli in the preliminary round were all repaired at the last minute. If the competition was slightly more intense, it would cause gravel to fly everywhere. On the stage, Yun Dun recounted the competition in an excited tone. His words were full of praise for the low profound Class 2. There were also praises for the high profound Class 1. The first round of the finals, high profound Class 1 wins and successfully enters the finals. After the manservant speedily repaired the damaged areas on the stage, Yun Duan then announced the start of the second round of competition. Yi Qing Luo and Lu Shui led their own class's students and walked up the stage. The finals match. Once they lost, it would signify their elimination, ending the chance to participate in this year's interclass competition. High Profound Class 2 versus War Devil Class. Who would laugh till the end, who would enter the finals, and who would stop at the finals? In the eyes of the crowd, this wasn't a mystery. But when they saw Yi Qing Luo's calm face, they had an inexplicable impulse to see an unexpected situation. Hadn't Yi Qing Luo always loved to create miracles? Perhaps Yi Qing Luo had the ability to create another miracle and win against the high profound Class 2? On the stage, the students from the two classes bowed to each other. Both parties seemed to have no lethality to the other party. But in actual fact, the atmosphere on the stage was already raging like a storm. Lu Shuiyu's gaze towards Yi Qing Luo was filled with a chilling killing intent. That killing intent made Yi Qing Luo's slender brows creased slightly. Lu Shuiyu had always hated her and she was very clear about this. Between her and Lu Shuiyu, it was a relationship of mutual hatred. But no matter how much she hated her, Lu Shuiyu had never wanted her life so desperately. Especially during the ability assessment before the competition, she had helped Lu Shuiyu at the last minute. After that, Lu Shuiyu rarely intentionally found trouble. One round of competition made Lu Shuiyu turn black again? Yi Qing Luo, this match, high profound Class 2 must win. Lu Shuiyu's voice was cold, her red lips moved as she said each word clearly. What a coincidence, me too. Yi Qing Luo smiled. Lu Shuiyu's eyes darkened, and a hint of jealousy flashed in her eyes. Aside from winning, I have an even more important purpose. Yi Qing Luo's brows rose as her lips twitched in ridicule. Want to kill me? Lu Shuiyu was startled. He had not expected Yi Qing Luo to see through it so thoroughly. She had even calmly stated her purpose. Did she think that she didn't have the guts to kill her? The coldness in Lu Shuiyu's eyes became increasingly sinister. Her red lips curled into a sneer. Confidence? Was he proud? She wanted to see how she was going to destroy Yi Qing Luo's confidence and pride in this competition. She wanted to see Yi Qing Luo become a laughingstock. Let those who trusted Yi Qing Luo unconditionally hate her to the core from then on. Destroying a person does not necessarily mean killing her. Instead, he wanted her to live and suffer. Suffer devastation. No matter how strong you are just an earth-profound fourth-grade cultivator. How many people can you fight against alone? Lu Shuiyu's delicate and cold face gradually turned sinister. A powerful profound qi, like a whirlwind, swept over in an unending stream. Lu Shuiyu released her own profound grade. Chapter 1210. Was this Lu Shuiyu's strength? The onlookers were shocked. The students of each class were shocked. The students of the Devil class were all suspicious of Lu Shuiyu's power. Lu Shuiyu was the vice president of the faculty council. So many things were handled by other members of the faculty council. Lu Shuiyu took on the role of assistant and leader in every class training and competition. Over time, many students didn't have a deep understanding of Lu Shuiyu's true strength. He only knew that Lu Shuiyu was able to become the assistant of Si Yenmu, a student of the class of gods, and also the class monitor of High Profound Class 2. Her profound level must be extremely high, and she must be very strong. His memory of Lu Shuiyu's strength stopped at last year's interclass competition. It seemed that she had not yet stepped into the Earth Profound realm. But when Lu Shuiyu's profound rank burst out from her body, the whirlwind in the arena was completely out of control. Yiqing Luo speedily fanned her glower flame fan and rolled up a hurricane, blocking Lu Shuiyu's explosive imposing manner. The strong and terrifying whirlwind had an irresistible pressure. It was terrifying and horrifying. Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased even tighter. She wasn't hallucinating. Lu Shuiyu seemed to have changed into another person. This was not the aura that Lu Shuiyu should have. Yiqing Luo had crossed hands with Lu Shuiyu before, so she wasn't unfamiliar with Lu Shuiyu's presence. But after this mysterious qi appeared, it had a strange and terrifying aura. It wasn't Lu Shuiyu's aura. Yiqing Luo's heart suddenly trembled. Could Lu Shuiyu be, in order to win, he intentionally found someone to replace him in the competition? My God! The Vice President of the Heavenly Academy has such a high profound grade. Earth Profound Level 7. No. His Xian Qi was still skyrocketing. Earth Xian 8th grade. He's already at the 8th grade of Earth Profound Realm. Impossible. I can't believe my eyes. Heavens! Heavens! Earth Profound 9th grade. He's already at the 9th grade of Earth Profound Realm. The spectators stood up excitedly, pointed at Lu Shuiyu on the arena, and shouted excitedly. A 9th grade Earth Profound Xian practitioner. He was only a step away from becoming a Sky Profound Supreme. In the entire West Continent, the number of 9th grade Earth Profound practitioners that could be found could be counted on one's fingers. It was not just the onlookers who were excited. Even the dean, the elders, the headmaster, and the elders of the headmaster stood up in unison. He looked at Lu Shuiyu, who was at the 9th grade of the Earth Profound Realm, in astonishment. This action instantly made the calm and elegant Supreme Mo, who was sitting leisurely on his seat, look extremely eye-catching. Dean Xian, what's going on? This student is so young and already so accomplished. Why is she in High Profound Class 2 and not allowed to study in the class of gods? The vice president of the General Hospital furrowed his white eyebrows and looked at the president. The shocked expression on the dean's face froze. He immediately smiled apologetically and bowed to the vice dean of the headquarters. After this interclass competition, this student will be sent to the class of gods to study. The vice dean of the General Hospital frowned and stared at the dean for a long time. Then he retracted his gaze and looked back at the arena, at the student who had performed brilliantly. The dean felt a chill down his spine. A thin layer of cold sweat soaked his white robe. On the stage, under the resistance of Yiqing Luo and the other students, this burst of profound qi which burst out from the body was finally pushed back. Devil classes students wiped their sweat as they panted heavily, looking as though they had expended too much energy. In actual fact, their performance wasn't an act. Although their current abilities had received a huge upgrade, and through their rapport they could make up for the lack of profound grade. But the opponent was an Earth Profound 9th grade cultivator. Powerful profound qi, they were able to withstand it and weren't injured. Chapter 12:11. Yiqing Luo's little face turned slightly pale as well. She held her glower flame fan tightly as her eyes squinted as she lowered her voice. You're not Lu Shuiyu. Her confidence did not cause the woman opposite her to show the slightest hint of panic. Instead, Lu Shuiyu laughed. She laughed sinisterly, so cold that it seeped into her bones. Where's the evidence? Without any evidence, who would believe you? Yiqing Luo's heart thumped. In other words, the lady in front of her, the lady who looked exactly the same as Lu Shuiyu, was indeed not Lu Shuiyu. Someone else had replaced Lu Shuiyu's identity to take part in this competition. This person's target was obviously her. And devil class. Then, where was the real Lu Shuiyu now? Who was the person who replaced Lu Shuiyu? What was the reason why she replaced Lu Shuiyu to help High Profound Class 2 enter the finals? Yiqing Luo, based on your current ability, you dare to be distracted? Lu Shuiyu laughed coldly as the palm wind in her hands flashed and a powerful profound qi shot out from her palms. That horrifying aura exploded towards Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo flipped the glower flame fan in her hands and set off an enchanting red glow. At the same time, her figure swiftly retreated a few steps. The strong palm wind collided with that red glow. In just a few breaths, the red glow suddenly dissipated. The palm wind brought along a strong pressure as it struck towards Yiqing Luo's face. Yiqing Luo's eyes turned cold as she immediately released her profound qi in an orderly manner to create a red barrier, blocking that palm wind. Her footsteps changed at this moment. At the same time that the barrier blocked the palm wind, Yiqing Luo's figure disappeared into thin air. But in a blink of an eye, she was already behind Lu Shuiyu. Bam! A loud sound was heard as a slender figure flew out. Qing Luo. Boss Qing Luo. Seeing that enchanting figure was actually sent flying by Lu Shuiyu's palm strike. The other devil class students' faces turned pale as they frantically shouted Yiqing Luo's name. Long Yunzhan and the rest were anxious to rush over but were obstructed by the High Profound Class 2 students. 99 students against 61 students. Even if the devil class students released all of their powers, he was afraid that he would not be able to gain any advantage against these 99 High Profound Class 2 students. The students of High Profound Class 2 seemed to have discussed this beforehand. No one went to help Lu Shuiyu to attack Yiqing Luo. Everyone intentionally pulled apart the distance between Devil Class and Yiqing Luo. The huge arena was divided into two parts. On one side was the High Profound Class 2 restraining the Devil Class. On the other side was Lu Shuiyu and Yiqing Luo. Although Yiqing Luo had suffered a palm strike, but luckily she had dodged in time, only the shoulder of her uniform was torn. This palm made Yiqing Luo had no choice but to raise her guard as she looked at Lu Shuiyu vigilantly. This Lu Shuiyu was indeed at the 9th grade of the Earth Profound Realm. This profound rank was not fake at all. The difference of 5 grades was comparable to the difference of a galaxy. Yiqing Luo had been making use of her unique footwork, and even if it was one of the 4 great saint techniques of the dark forces, Wolf Saint technique, it had no way of detecting it. She had always been confident. He could rely on this set of footwork to protect his life in any situation. But this Lu Shuiyu's reaction was so fast that it made one's hair stand on end. This Lu Shuiyu actually used her footwork to circle to her back and gave her a palm strike. Chapter 12:12. Earth Profound 9th grade was indeed powerful. It was totally different from Shangguan Liuli, who relied on profound Yin Qi to raise her profound grade. Yiqing Luo had enough confidence to defeat Shangguan Liuli, who was also in Earth Profound 9th grade. But, facing the mysterious person who was wearing Lu Shuiyu's face, to defeat this mysterious person, it was impossible to go head-on. "Is that all you've got?" Lu Shuiyu laughed mockingly. "I thought you could let me enjoy a little more. I didn't expect. It's going to end now." She stroked her hair with a bored look. "Rumors are indeed just rumors. Why do I need to waste so much energy to deal with a little waste like you?" Yiqing Luo had long passed the age where she would be agitated by a provocation. Lu Shuiyu's mockery was of no importance to her. She glanced at the wound on her shoulder as her lips curled into a strange cold arc. Her 5 fingers clenched tightly as the fan in her hand opened up and immediately a strong hurricane was blown up. Profound Qi went berserk as it crashed onto the arena. A biting cold red glow burst out from the devouring flame fan. She leapt up and the wind blades rose. "I should be the one asking you this." Boom. Boom boom boom. The wind blades shot out and the red glow appeared. The wind blades from all directions chased after Lu Shuiyu's evasive footstep. The entire arena was hit by the waves of wind blades and the ground was filled with gravel. The arena cracked and was on the verge of collapse. You only have this bit of ability? Then it's all up to me now. Yiqing Luo's voice was extremely cold. As soon as he finished speaking, he heard an even more deafening explosion that resounded right in front of him. Yiqing Luo displayed her footwork at the same time and swiftly got closer to Lu Shuiyu. Lu Shuiyu, who totally disregarded Yiqing Luo, had a gloomy expression. Earlier she felt that this lass was acting recklessly and wanted to repeat the same old trick. Just as she wanted to take the opportunity to teach Yiqing Luo a lesson, Yiqing Luo's aura had completely disappeared, as if she had completely blended into the air, lost all her aura and suppression. But Lu Shuiyu was very clear. Yiqing Luo absolutely could not disappear just like that. This knowledge made Lu Shuiyu's gloomy expression gradually brighten up. The corners of his mouth curled up into a strange arc. The game required the prey to make some shocking resistance. That would be interesting. Her greatest interest was, she watched as her prey struggled and tried to escape, but in the end, he couldn't escape from her palm. The despair of her prey was her joy. Devouring flame first fan, twin dragons emerge from the sea. A melodious and sweet voice resounded in his ears. A red shadow flashed past. The two soaring fire dragons coiled around each other. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it charged towards Lu Shuiyu's face. The tyrannical profound chi fluctuated as the two dragons circled around each other, constantly colliding with the whirlwind created by Lu Shuiyu. Boom! The vast waves of chi emitted banging sounds. Lu Shuiyu was in the midst of her excitement and Yiqing Luo's attack was too sudden. The huge dragon bit Lu Shuiyu's arm. Lu Shuiyu's sleeves were instantly burned to ashes, revealing her snow-white skin. Lu Shuiyu wasn't in a hurry to cover her arm. Instead, she reacted swiftly and released an even more powerful suppression, entering a stalemate with that huge dragon. The sneer and viciousness in Lu Shuiyu's eyes grew deeper, and there was a tinge of madness and excitement. TSK. Yiqing Luo, you're going to get serious. Come on, resisting prey, let me hunt to my heart's content. She laughed softly. An exceptionally majestic suppression, at this moment, directly crushed that huge dragon into nothingness. Chapter 12-13. The soft whip was like a small black snake, smooth and translucent, and even faintly sparkling. There was an inexplicable eerie chill. The eerie atmosphere, along with the appearance of the soft whip, became more and more violent. Lu Shuiyu waved the soft whip, waving it in the air, making a paw-paw sound. Vice President's weapon is a soft whip? Why do I remember? Lu family is famous for their sword skills. Lu family sword manual isn't Lu family's ultimate skill? That's right, I remember all the vice presidents used long swords when they participated in the class training. The surrounding students were in a heated discussion, looking at Lu Shuiyu on the stage in astonishment. Could it be? Actually, Lu Shuiyu's natal weapon was a soft whip? The long sword was just her secondary weapon? Although they felt it was strange, but none of the students deliberately said anything. What weapon to use was decided by the students themselves, and no one else had the right to interfere. Lu Shuilan, who was sitting at the waiting area, turned slightly pale. A pair of shocked and astonished eyes stared at Lu Shuiyu's direction in disbelief. She clenched her fists unwillingly. This person was really her sister? When did Lu Shuiyu learn to use the soft whip as her weapon? And when did his profound rank reach the 9th level of the Earth Profound Realm? As Lu Shuiyu's biological sister, she didn't even know when Lu Shuiyu broke through to the Earth Profound Realm. Lu Shuilan's heart sank bit by bit. She really could never be compared to Lu Shuiyu in this lifetime. Lu Shuiyu had been hiding it from her from the start. Hearing the surrounding discussions, Yiqing Luo stared at the soft whip in Lu Shuiyu's hand. So daring? Looks like you're not worried that your identity will be exposed. Lu Shuiyu laughed lightly. The soft whip in her hand curved and floated like a black soft snake. Exposed? I'm the eldest miss of the Lu family, Heavenly Academy Faculty Council's vice president. What other identity can be exposed? Saying that, Lu Shuiyu raised her brows as her slender fingers covered her lips. I'd like to see how you can make others believe your nonsense. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed and didn't reply. Before she could find any evidence that the opponent was not Lu Shuiyu, she rashly raised doubts to the main courtyard, doubting the authenticity of Lu Shuiyu. Not only would she be deceived by Lu Shuiyu and the mysterious man, she would probably fall here as well. Don't be overconfident too early, Yiqing Luo said lightly as the hand holding the glower flame fan swiftly tightened. Yiqing Shuiyu Yu Qi. At the whip, Lu Shuiyu Qi. The black snake charged wildly towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Like a snake with a scarlet tongue, it seemed to have a life of its own. But moments later, that soft snake directly swallowed the profound light which Yiqing Luo released. Bang! There was a loud sound of profound qi colliding, and profound qi was dancing wildly in the surroundings. A gust of sinister black death qi, with the speed of a breath, instantly crushed Yiqing Luo's profound energy. Useless trash, how dare you talk nonsense in front of me? Lu Shuiyu's lips curled into a sinister smile. And. The students on the other side of the stage were stunned by the gloomy aura. The students of the two classes on the other side of the arena were stunned by the eerie aura. They all turned their heads and looked towards the direction of the aura. Chapter 12-14. Boss Qing Luo. Lu Shuiyu. Come at us if you can. This is a class competition. What right do you have to separate us? If you have the guts, then fight as a group. The Devil class students stared fiercely at Lu Shuiyu, their faces filled with anxiety and ferocity. The High Profound Class 2 students recovered from the shock and immediately pounced towards the Devil class once again. Devil class gritted their teeth in anger, but they had no way to defend against these beast-like High Profound Class 2 students. He could only shout out at the top of his voice, Boss Qing Luo? Come on. Beat up that pretentious woman. Beat her. Beat her up. Perhaps it was the encouragement from the Devil class's students, as it reached Yiqing Luo's ears. Suddenly, Lu Shuiyu suddenly felt a sharp pain in her hand that had just brandished the whip. Immediately, she felt so numb that she couldn't even hold the whip tightly. Then, the soft whip suddenly appeared in her numb palm. It caused a violent tremor. It was as if it wanted to break free from her grasp. Like a real snake, it kept slithering around. Lu Shuiyu's pupils suddenly widened. She immediately stretched out her other hand and quickly grabbed her wrist. With a clatter, the whip fell to the ground. Lu Shuiyu staggered a few steps back. She was shocked, and her eyes were fixed on her wrist. Her slender fingers trembled as she tried to clench them. But his stiff and numb fingers couldn't even do something as simple as curling up. What was going on? Lu Shuiyu wasn't the only one who was stunned. The crowd sucked in a breath of cold air. What happened? Why did Lu Shuiyu's weapon fall to the ground? Lu Shuiyu's complexion doesn't look good. Her hand. When did her hand get hurt? It seems like she can't move it? What happened? In order to pay attention to the Earth Profound 9th grade cultivator's battle process, I didn't even blink my eyelids. What on earth did student Yiqing Luo do? The onlookers screamed in horror. They didn't even see clearly what was happening on the stage. Quick, look. It was Yiqing Luo. There she is. Someone in the crowd had sharp eyes and saw that Yiqing Luo, who was originally suppressed by the black qi, had unknowingly broken free from the entanglement of the black qi. The red figure was like a night elf. Her clothes fluttered in the wind, and she was as cold as frost. There was not the slightest trace of emotion on her beautiful face. It was calm and unperturbed like a pool of stagnant water, without the slightest ripple. Her speed was extremely fast. In just a few breaths of time, she had already rushed to Lu Shuiyu's side. The devouring flame fan in his hand opened up and slashed towards Lu Shuiyu's back like a red blade. Violent and ferocious profound qi spread out wantonly. Lu Shuiyu tried hard to adjust her breathing and move her hands. Suddenly, he heard the voices of the crowd. Her heart instantly tensed up, knowing that Yiqing Luo would definitely attack from the back. Bang! With a loud bang, the arena exploded. The sharp blade cut straight into the ground. The splashing gravel hit Lu Shuiyu's body. Her fair arm was only grazed by a few pieces of gravel, but it was already cut open, and fresh blood immediately gushed out. After Lu Shuiyu evaded Yiqing Luo's wind blade attack, she had already exhausted all her energy. The residual power of the profound qi hit her body. She lost her balance and fell heavily to the ground. Her entire body emitted a wave of intense pain. Lu Shuiyu was drenched in cold sweat as she panted heavily. Bearing with the intense pain, her malicious eyes stared towards Yiqing Luo's direction. But she saw Yiqing Luo standing expressionlessly in front of her. On Yiqing Luo's face was an extremely ridiculing sneer. Chapter 12-15. Lu Shuiyu was stunned into a daze. Her body trembled as her malicious eyes were filled with a thick murderous intent. However, the pain and numbness all over her body made her lose the strength to even speak. A sentence of righteous indignation came out of her mouth and became so soft that it couldn't be heard. But Yiqing Luo heard it very clearly. Her pink lips rose slightly without the fluster of being exposed. Her smile was extremely shallow with a hint of ridicule. She raised her brows and chuckled. "Where's the evidence? Who would believe you if you don't have any evidence?" Yiqing Luo returned the same words to Lu Shuiyu. She couldn't produce any evidence that Lu Shuiyu was impersonated. Then, could Lu Shuiyu produce any evidence that she had poisoned her? Lu Shuiyu's face turned pale. "You!" She had not expected Yiqing Luo to use such a method to retaliate against her. She didn't believe it. Yiqing Luo really had some heaven-defying ability to poison her body without being discovered. Lu Shuiyu's eyes were malicious as she secretly adjusted the profound qi in her body. From the profound jade heart, she spread out her profound qi and searched her body. She wanted to see what poison Yiqing Luo had poisoned her body. Lu Shuiyu searched while sizing up Yiqing Luo's expression. She seemed to be trying to find a little bit of emotion from Yiqing Luo's face. But the result disappointed her. On Yiqing Luo's face, from the start till the end, maintained that ridiculing arc which seemed like a smile yet not a smile, giving a look of allowing her to casually search for the poison. Lu Shuiyu's heart thumped. Her petite body gradually turned stiff. The expression on her face turned green and then white. "What did you do to me?" There was no poison, there was no sign of poisoning in her body. However, the numbness and tingling sensation throughout her body was so obvious. If it wasn't poison, then what was it? Yiqing Luo touched her chin and smiled innocently. "What did I do? Who saw what I did?" She had never been a good person, nor was she a fair and just person who abided by the rules. Since Lu Shuiyu dared to find someone else to replace her and participate in the competition, it was fraud. She used her own way to retaliate, so why not? This should be called, all is fair in war. Vice President. Yiqing Luo. What did you do to the Vice President? This time, it was the high profound Class 2 students' turn to panic. 99 people, intercepting 61 Devil Class students. During the interception, the high profound Class 2 students could clearly feel it. They had originally thought that they could easily take down these useless students. He was actually able to counterattack under their encirclement. 61 Devil Class students, not a single one was missing. Instead, they had forced them to eliminate 15 students. The students of high profound Class 2 were not fools. At this moment, how could he not understand that these Devil Class students were not the trash they had imagined? If Lu Shuiyu was unable to suppress Yiqing Luo, their high profound Class 2, perhaps today would really be the end of this duel. They absolutely couldn't lose this match. They did not want to be demoted. High Profound Class 2's students anxiously rushed over to stop Yi Qing Luo from eliminating Lu Shuiyu. However, he didn't have time to move his feet. Then he was entangled by the students of the Devil class. You want to leave? The gold coin darts in Xiao Jin's hands directly condensed into shape, blocking those High Profound Class 2 students. Give them a taste of their own medicine. You dare to stop us? Even if we have to risk our lives, we will stop you. Chapter 12:16. Student Yi Qing Luo. Student Lu Shuiyu. Suddenly, on the main seat of the stage, the director banged the table and stood up with a stern look. Student Lu Shuiyu, what's wrong with you? If one looked closely, they would be able to see a flash of sinister cold glint in his eyes. What on earth was Lu Shuiyu doing? Wasn't victory already in her grasp? What play was she playing now? Why did she suddenly lose her battle ability and directly fell onto the ground? She was an Earth Profound 9th grade advanced cultivator. Just one step and she would become a Sky Mystic Overlord. No matter what, she couldn't possibly lose to a young lass like Yi Qing Luo, right? Something must have gone wrong. The spectators were puzzled by Lu Shuiyu's sudden inability to battle. There were even some who guessed that Yi Qing Luo had secretly played some trick. But very quickly someone retorted. Yi Qing Luo wasn't silly. How could she possibly play any tricks in front of thousands of people, the elder from the Heavenly Academy and the higher-ups? If Yi Qing Luo really did something, the main courtyard had already called for a halt. At this moment the director spoke out, it immediately attracted everyone's attention. Lu Shuiyu laid on the ground, her petite body was still stiff. That bursts of piercing pain, accompanied by the numbness of her entire body, made her extremely miserable. Hearing the director's question, she forced herself to take a deep breath and wanted to tell him about her current situation. No matter if she was poisoned or not. As long as the director wanted to investigate this matter thoroughly, Yi Qing Luo would definitely not be able to escape the suspicion. Even if there was no evidence, Yi Qing Luo would also bear the reputation of suspicion. Student Lu Shuiyu's body doesn't seem to be very well. Yi Qing Luo was the first to speak with a sincere smile. Student Lu Shuiyu's face seems to be a little uncomfortable. Why not we stop the competition and let the doctor take a look? Face. Lu Shuiyu's petite body suddenly stiffened. The expression on the director's face also froze. Following that, their four eyes met. Their expressions and interactions were extremely secretive. But Yi Qing Luo, who had been paying attention to the both of them, had seen all of their emotions and interactions. The corners of her lips curled up slightly, as a smile bloomed on her lips. In the crowd's eyes, Yi Qing Luo's words were said with sincerity and sincerity. Her eyes were filled with concern and a request to the dean. All these indicated Yi Qing Luo's concern for Lu Shuiyu, who said that it was Yi Qing Luo who did something, causing Lu Shuiyu to lose her ability to battle. See that? They were willing to stop the competition and let Lu Shuiyu go to the medical hall for treatment. There was no such thing as looting a burning house. Because Lu Shuiyu's body wasn't feeling well, she was directly eliminated. After all, a 9th grade Earth Profound Realm Xian practitioner was too shocking. Moreover, even if Yi Qing Luo used Lu Shuiyu's inability to battle as an excuse to let High Profound Class 2 find a substitute, it was already considered as Devil Class's magnanimity. Now, Yi Qing Luo directly said to stop the competition and let the doctor take a look at Lu Shuiyu. He didn't take advantage of the situation. He also did not take the opportunity to replace Lu Shuiyu, a 9th grade Earth Profound Xian practitioner. There were even some onlookers who spoke directly. If the matter of Lu Shuiyu losing her battle power was caused by Yi Qing Luo, then he would swallow 10 caddies of sand in front of everyone. Hearing this oath, Yi Qing Luo almost choked on her saliva. This crowd that trusted her so much just because he trusted her so much. She promised that she would not let him have the chance to swallow these 10 caddies of sand. Chapter 12:17. Master Guiyu? That crazy old man who wanted to take Yiqing Luo as his disciple? That crazy old man who was so protective of his shortcomings? Lu Shuiyu had naturally heard of the rumors about Guiyu. She was also clear about Guiyu's ability. If Guiyu were to do the consultation, her identity would definitely be at stake. Immediately, Lu Shuiyu propped up her body, gritted her teeth and looked at the director. No need, I'm fine. But, student Lu Shuiyu doesn't look fine at all. Yiqing Luo continued to stab her. I said I'm fine, so I'm fine. Every word came out from the gaps of her teeth. When the last word of this sentence was spat out, Lu Shuiyu's tingling and numb feelings suddenly disappeared. Her tightly knitted brows had slightly eased up. The effect of the drug. Had it run out? Lu Shuiyu's expression suddenly changed. The soft whip in her hand swiftly lashed towards Yiqing Luo fiercely. The soft whip lashed the air, bringing a swoosh swoosh sound. Immediately, Lu Shuiyu's figure was as agile as a soft snake. With a flip, she bypassed Yiqing Luo's side. That soft whip slid, bringing along an extremely ferocious profound qi. As if it had grown eyes, it wrapped around her body. That soft whip brought along a gloomy and cold air of death. When it stuck close to her skin, Yiqing Luo couldn't help but shiver. Damn! Lu Shuiyu was just bluffing. That's a good trick. Deliberately pretending to have no fighting power, taking the opportunity to sneak attack Yiqing Luo. This student Lu Shuiyu's scheming is simply too deep. Earth Profound 9th grade cultivator still needs to rely on sneak attack? Could it be that Lu Shuiyu can't defeat Earth Profound 4th grade Yiqing Luo? The onlookers were shocked by this change, and started to discuss among themselves. No one had expected that Lu Shuiyu, who was lying on the ground and even the director was alarmed, would suddenly launch an attack on Yiqing Luo, and completely clamp down on Yiqing Luo. No matter who it was, they would also think in the direction of conspiracy theory. And the main character who was being discussed, Lu Shuiyu, turned a deaf ear to those questions. A pair of malicious eyes stared venomously at Yiqing Luo, who was restrained by the soft whip. His sinister laughter made one's hair stand on end. To her, it didn't matter what kind of infamy or slander Lu Shuiyu would encounter in the future. Her most important task was to act as Lu Shuiyu well and obtain victory in this competition, successfully eliminating Devil Class from the competition. Yiqing Luo, this time, you won't be able to escape even if you grow wings. Lu Shuiyu gritted her teeth as she whispered curses into Yiqing Luo's ear. She tightened her fingers and narrowed her eyes. The moment he moved his profound energy, a powerful aura instantly surged through the entire arena, covering the sky and covering the earth. The waves caused by the profound energy came one after another, layer upon layer, and they were like surging waves. This stance obviously wanted to skin Yiqing Luo alive in front of everyone. The students of Devil Class were on tenterhook. The students of High Profound Class 2 could not be as excited as before. The leaders of their two classes, it made one's heart beat erratically. One moment he was wild with joy. One moment, he was in a frenzy of fear. If this went on, the two leaders wouldn't fall. Their hearts couldn't take it anymore and fell down directly. Yiqing Luo's expression was still calm, as though the person who was restrained by the soft whip wasn't her. Chapter 12:18. Lu Shuiyu was obviously infuriated by Yiqing Luo's ridicule. That pair of sinister eyes was filled with a thick murderous intent. Looking at that gaze, Yiqing Luo absolutely believed it. If it wasn't for the fact that this mysterious person who impersonated Lu Shuiyu had her own mission and wouldn't dare to act rashly. This mysterious person would absolutely not hesitate to dismember her into thousands of pieces. Be angry, be furious. What she needed to do now was to provoke this mysterious person and make this mysterious person lose her rationality. Lu Shuiyu was an earth-profound 9th-grade cultivator. If she didn't use her wits and went head-on against the other party, then she was absolutely sick. Yiqing Luo wouldn't be so silly to do something like using an egg to hit a rock. Lu Shuiyu wanted to torture her so that she couldn't escape from the Five Fingers Mountain. Then, she would use the same method to torture Lu Shuiyu ruthlessly, to strike Lu Shuiyu as self-confidence. Such a proud person, to be schemed against again and again, until she had no way to resist and even lost her face. What would happen to her? A person, in the midst of rage, would lose her rationality. Her mind wouldn't think of anything else. Lu Shuiyu would definitely reveal a flaw. Once she grasped Lu Shuiyu's flaw, would she be afraid of not being able to defeat Lu Shuiyu and expose Lu Shuiyu's identity? Smile. Smile. Continue to smile for me. Lu Shuiyu's face revealed a sinister look as her slender fingers directly grabbed Yiqing Luo's neck. Yiqing Luo didn't move and couldn't move. She was forced to raise her head high as her slender jade-like neck was violently grabbed by Lu Shuiyu. But Yiqing Luo's expression was still that calm. Vaguely, there was a trace of feeling that made one's heart sink. Fell into a trap? Lu Shuiyu looked at the smile on Yiqing Luo's lips as a trace of panic flashed past her sinister eyes. She increased the strength in her hands in an attempt to make Yiqing Luo lose her consciousness and unable to counterattack. But her 5 fingers exerted a little force, and that familiar and horrifying pain and numbness struck her again. The next moment, Yiqing Luo's glower flame fan had already shot out 2 rays of red light and struck directly on Lu Shuiyu's chest. Lu Shuiyu let out a blood-curdling scream, and her whole body flew backwards. At the same time, the soft whip wrapped around Yiqing Luo's arms also slid down from her body. The whip was like a snake. When it fell to the ground, it actually swam towards Lu Shuiyu at an extremely fast speed. But, no matter how fast the whip was, but not as fast as Yiqing Luo's speed. Just as the whip was about to wrap around Lu Shuiyu's arm, a shadow flashed past. A foot stepped on the whip. In an instant, the whip seemed to have lost all its spiritual energy and fell limply to the ground. Lu Shuiyu was unable to move. It was like numerous silver needles were constantly pricking her internal organs, causing her to be drenched in cold sweat. Lu Shuiyu's face sunk as she stared at Yiqing Luo in disbelief. What was going on? Yiqing Luo was bound by her and had no chance to move. How could he poison her? Lu Shuiyu's self-confidence and arrogance had been completely destroyed by Yiqing Luo's poison. Yiqing Luo stepped on Lu Shuiyu's whip and looked down at her condescendingly. The corners of her lips curled up, forming an extremely shallow cold arc. Student Lu, you've already fallen into my trap once and still don't know how to be smart. The cold voice was like a pearl falling on a plate, crisp and melodious. But in Lu Shuiyu's ears, it was ear-piercing and made her sick of it. Chapter 12:19. Lucky my ass. Lu Shuiyu was so angry that she almost vomited blood. So Yiqing Luo was a medicine person? She had so many different kinds of poisons on her? From Yiqing Luo's words, it was obvious that Yiqing Luo had more than one kind of poison on her. Don't be agitated. The more agitated you are, the more the numbness and pain will seep into your limbs and bones. Yiqing Luo blinked her eyes innocently, and, the more agitated I am, the longer the duration of the medicinal effect will be. You. Lu Shuiyu's face turned pale as she stared fiercely at Yiqing Luo. Her eyes were filled with malice. Lu Shuiyu had not expected Yiqing Luo's brain to turn so fast, relying on the fact that she could not reveal her identity, and knew that she could not reveal her identity. Deliberately using such a method, even if she was poisoned, she would not dare to seek help from the director. Once she sought help, Yiqing Luo would definitely implicate Old Man Guiyu. Even the director couldn't suppress Old Man Guiyu. By then, the fact that she was not Lu Shuiyu would be made known to the public. Moreover, there was no trace of any poison in her body. Even if she had to sacrifice her identity, she had to drag Yi Qing Luo into the water, insisting that Yi Qing Luo had poisoned her. But there was no evidence, so the main courtyard would not believe it. Sinister. Too sinister. Yi Qing Luo, this slut. How could she be so sinister? Lu Shuiyu was so angry that her face was twisted. Yi Qing Luo snorted lightly and no longer had the mood to tease her, so, Student Lu, goodbye. Lu Shuiyu's heart sank. A drop of cold sweat rolled down from her forehead. She stared at Yi Qing Luo in horror. Suddenly, there was a sharp pain in her abdomen. Lu Shuiyu only felt that her body seemed to fall apart, as a force of gravity pushed her backwards. Bam bam bam! Accompanied by a blood-curdling scream, Lu Shuiyu was pushed to the side of the arena, and a large area was crushed. The surrounding people drew in breaths one after another. The crowd's expression changed greatly, feeling that it was inconceivable. On the arena, the strong pressure set off a hurricane, and the entire arena was awed. The strong wind blew against the young lady in red standing on the stage, as her clothes fluttered, as if she was a flower petal that bloomed along with the wind. She just stood there with a calm expression on her face. But Lu Shuiyu was lying in the debris of the wooden frame. There was blood at the corner of her mouth, and there were cuts on her body from the wooden frame. The place where Lu Shuiyu was, outside the arena. Lu Shuiyu was eliminated. The expressions of the onlookers changed drastically. Earth-profound 9th grade Lu Shuiyu was struck down from the arena by Earth-profound 4th grade Yi Qing Luo? Furthermore, it seemed that Yi Qing Luo had obviously not used her full strength. Furthermore, Lu Shuiyu tried to cheat again and again. In the end, he still wanted to use the same method to make Yi Qing Luo fall for it once again? As a result, the scene exploded. Lu Shuiyu's character is really questionable. She deserves to lose. Vice President of Faculty Council, I don't know what's going on with the Heavenly Academy this year. How can such a person be the vice president? Isn't he leading the students astray? An outstanding student like student Yi Qing Luo was allocated to Devil class, that kind of waste class. It's imaginable that the current Heavenly Academy's foresight and ability to analyze students' abilities are no longer as good as before. The best academy is indeed just a legend. Voices of doubt, pity and discussion rose one after another. Chapter 12:20. Perhaps Lu Shuiyu's repeated sneak attacks had infuriated the crowd. Those onlookers followed the topic and became more and more heated. Those discussions made the director's face sunk. He was so infuriated that he slammed the table heavily and berated sternly, "Student Yi Qing Luo, what on earth is going on?" The rest of the high profound Class 2 students immediately went forward to help their eliminated class monitor up. There was also a doctor who rushed over to take Lu Shuiyu's pulse after receiving the director's secret reminder. Yi Qing Luo's posture was languid as she yawned and gave a faint smile. What else could it be? Student Lu had already lost her battle ability, and I eliminated her. Could it be I did something wrong? How could student Lu Shuiyu possibly lose her battle ability? The director's eyes were scarlet red as he was overwhelmed with fear and shock, unable to maintain his composure on the surface. He knew that this Lu Shuiyu was not the real Lu Shuiyu. As long as she made her move, she would definitely be able to eliminate Yi Qing Luo today. How could the result turn out to be like this? At this moment, not only was there no way to answer to the Lord. This matter had caused various forces to question the Heavenly Academy's ability. Over the years, the Heavenly Academy had always been the best academy, the role model for other academies and the target which they respected and yearned for. Now it was being doubted? Yi Qing Luo smiled lightly when she heard that. Her eyes were filled with mockery as she stood in the ring. Her charm was outstanding and her aura was majestic. She smiled and spoke in a calm voice. Why did student Lu lose her battle ability? I'm afraid the director will have to ask student Lu to get the answer. Doctor. The director fiercely glared at Lu Shuiyu, who was surrounded by the high profound Class 2 students, and the doctor, as he gritted his teeth and shouted. That doctor's hand was still on Lu Shuiyu's pulse. His old face looked flustered and helpless. Hearing the director's stern shout, the doctor's hands and feet trembled as he raised his head and looked at the director. Licking his dry lips with difficulty, the doctor's voice trembled as he bit his head. Director, student Lu suffered some internal injuries due to the impact earlier. Her body is what? Don't hemming and hawing. The director shouted angrily. The doctor took a deep breath. Student Lu's body is fine. In other words, he didn't find anything wrong with Lu Shuiyu's body. That was to say, Lu Shuiyu was suddenly unable to move during the battle, or perhaps she was suddenly crushed by Yiqing Luo in minutes. It wasn't that Yiqing Luo was playing tricks in the dark. Could it be, was the speculation of the onlookers true? Was Lu Shuiyu intentionally showing weakness and taking the opportunity to restrain Yiqing Luo to achieve her own goal? The dean looked at Lu Shuiyu suspiciously. He gestured to her that if she had any questions, she should take this opportunity to ask them. Just as he was about to speak, an elegant voice came from the seats of the headquarters. Could it be that the dean has doubts about Lu Shuiyu's elimination? The dean's scarlet eyes and furious expression flashed past his face. The headmaster quickly turned his head and put on a flattering smile on his face. He laughed dryly and said, "Supreme Teacher Mo, I was just curious and asked a few questions." Mo Xian's red thin lips hooked up. His elegant face revealed a trace of cold intent. Why do I feel that the dean doesn't wish for Devil Class's student Yi to win? Chapter 12:21. Mo Xian gave a slight smile and didn't say another word. The director was frightened and didn't dare to say another word. Only his peripheral vision would glance at Lu Shuiyu from time to time, hoping to find out some information from her. But Lu Shuiyu was surrounded by a group of students and had no chance to exchange glances with him. Lu Shuiyu's elimination made those high profound Class 2 students' hearts sink as their expressions changed drastically. Earth Profound Grade 9's backbone was eliminated by Yiqing Luo. If Yiqing Luo came over to help these Devil Class students, where would they have any chance to retaliate? High Profound Class 2's students swallowed their saliva nervously as they stared vigilantly at this group of lazy to the extreme, like trash Devil Class students. What kind of trash students were they? These were obviously a group of wolves in sheep's clothing. As for those onlookers, when they saw the High Profound Class 2's students' vigilant expressions, as though they were facing a formidable enemy, they started to ridicule them. High Profound Class 2 students wanted to cry but had no tears. Saying it so easily, if they had the ability then come up and try. This pack of wolves will bite you until there's nothing left of you, okay? Suddenly Yiqing Luo moved. High Profound Class 2 students' calves started to turn soft. They stared anxiously at Yiqing Luo, who was standing on the other side of the stage. Drops of cold sweat rolled down from the High Profound Class 2's students' foreheads. Their breathing was hurried as their muscles tensed up. Yiqing Luo's footsteps were extremely slow as she walked towards the front. That fluttering red dress drew a red glow. That devastatingly beautiful face had an extremely shallow smile, looking elegant and moving. Every step she took. High Profound Class 2 students all took a step back. Until Yiqing Luo's figure got nearer and nearer. High Profound Class 2's students' suspenseful hearts were about to jump out from their hearts. They put on a defensive posture, preparing for a life-and-death struggle. But unexpectedly, Yiqing Luo directly passed them and walked to the side of the stage. Everyone's vision and gazes were concentrated on her. The direction where Yiqing Luo was standing was facing. It was Lu Shuiyu who was surrounded by the other High Profound Class 2's students. Yiqing Luo looked down condescendingly at the pale-faced lady who was leaning in the student's arms, as a playful smile bloomed on her lips. Lu Shuiyu's pupils suddenly widened as she stared venomously at Yiqing Luo. His body tensed up, and he was so angry that he was trembling. A few female students beside him whispered, "Vice President." They were extremely worried. Yiqing Luo bent down. "Student Lu, congratulations, you're free." Lu Shuiyu's eyes were hurt by his arrogant demeanor. She trembled as she stared at Yiqing Luo in disbelief. He couldn't believe that he would be defeated by a 15-year-old girl. He swore that a little girl was just a matter of moving his fingers. But in the end, instead, she had been humiliated to this extent by a little girl. Yiqing Luo actually humiliated her in such a manner in the face of Lu Shuiyu's resentful and murderous gaze. Yang Kai felt a chill run down his spine. Yiqing Luo was extremely magnanimous. Using poison was indeed shady and sinister. But, so what? If Lu Shuiyu were to compete with Devil Class fair and square, she would never use such a method to win. What she did was merely giving him a taste of his own medicine. That was all. After today, Lu Shuiyu's reputation would be completely ruined. Her position as faculty council's vice president was probably not going to be stable anymore. And this person who impersonated Lu Shuiyu to participate in the competition. Probably for the time being, there was no way to find trouble with her. Chapter 12:22. Returning back to the stage, Yiqing Luo smiled at those high profound Class 2 students and said indifferently, "Don't worry, we will go easy on you." Saying that, her gaze glanced at the Devil Class students. The Devil Class students' eyes lit up as they howled and pounced towards the high profound Class 2 students. Yiqing Luo didn't join the battle. She stood on the other side of the stage, watching the battle with her arms crossed. The students from the two classes were fighting in a mess. This battle took up an extremely short amount of time. It was just a joss sticks time. High profound Class 2 students were all thrown out of the stage, all eliminated. "Yeah! We won! We won!" The Devil Class students hugged each other excitedly. They cheered, shouted, and were extremely excited. Won. The Devil Class students actually won. And under the circumstance that Yiqing Luo didn't participate in the battle, they won. The crowd couldn't regain their senses for a long time. They looked at the stage in shock, those excited young faces on the stage. Not only did the Devil Class students win, and under the circumstance that no one in the class was eliminated, they won the battle. Looking at the past years of interclass competitions, there was no class who was able to walk to the end without one student being eliminated. Devil Class was the first. The only thought in the crowd's mind was, could that private bet still be placed again? Was it too late for them to change their bet to Devil Class now? Even Yun Duan was stunned for a long time before he regained his senses. On the stage, the winner of the battle was announced, Devil Class. Following that, the two classes who advanced to the finals began to be announced. Devil Class and High Profound Class 1 advanced to tomorrow's finals. After the battle between the two classes, the class who won would be the champion of this year's class competition. The reason why Devil Class was excited was because of this. They were getting closer and closer to the champion's position. After tomorrow, their boss Qing Luo wouldn't need to worry about the blood oath. Just as Yun Duan finished announcing the rules of tomorrow's competition, suddenly a clear voice rang. "Elder Yun Duan, I represent High Profound Class 1, tomorrow's finals, we admit defeat." Admit defeat? The crowd was shocked. What kind of show was this? High Profound Class 1 actually admitted defeat? This was forcing them to lose all their money in a private bet. Admit defeat? Why did High Profound Class 1 admit defeat? The dean was also stunned as he stood up excitedly. The onlookers pricked up their ears. Now there were only two classes left, High Profound Class 1 and Devil Class. Moreover, the finals would involve all the students in the class competing together. There are close to 500 students in High Profound Class 1. The Devil Class only had 62 students. Even if they couldn't defeat Yiqing Luo, they could just send a few hundred students to surround her. Sending another 100 people to deal with the other Devil Class students was more than enough. Winning the championship was simply too easy. Victory had completely fallen into the hands of High Profound Class 1. He actually admitted defeat? Are the students of High Profound Class 1 sick in the head? No one could understand why High Profound Class 2 admitted defeat. In the waiting area of High Profound Class 1, Dong Huang Lang and Qi Yijing walked out of the crowd. Their brown uniforms made them look imposing. Dong Huang Lang smiled warmly and spread his hands. We know that the Devil class will definitely be the champion, so we don't want to waste everyone's time. We are already very satisfied that the High Profound Class 1 has come this far. Chapter 12:23. What kind of joke was this? How could they not be a match for the Devil class? 400 over people against 62. Still not a match? The students from High Profound Class 1 must have gone mad. The crowd drew in a breath of cold air, unable to comprehend the actions of High Profound Class 1. If they admitted defeat now, it would mean that they had pushed the leader's position to the Devil class. The might of Devil class, no matter what we from High Profound Class 1 say, none of you will believe it. But the students from High Profound Class 2 have experienced it personally, so you should believe what they say. Those students who were called out were still in a daze. They were supported by their own students back to the waiting area of High Profound Class 2. Hearing the question from High Profound Class 1, their expressions changed abruptly, as their lips trembled. Some even revealed a terrified expression. The whole class is a pack of wolves. We are not their match at all. No, I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want to fight anymore. There's no suspense in the competition, it's totally looking for abuse. What's there to fight for? The crowd was even more shocked. If it was said that High Profound Class 1 admitted defeat, they could find excuses. For example, Yi Qing Luo agreed to some conditions from High Profound Class 1, or made a deal, etc. For example, Yi Qing Luo threatened High Profound Class 1, etc. All in all, Devil class's ability was not as good as High Profound Class 1. There was definitely a problem for High Profound Class 1 to admit defeat, but High Profound Class 2's students described it personally. That proved that Devil class's students indeed had a strength that they were unable to discern. One must know, before the competition, High Profound Class 2 students were still in high spirits, looking as though they were entering the finals. But now they were frightened by Devil class, shivering incessantly. Where exactly was the strength of Devil class? Why were thousands of pairs of eyes unable to see what the Devil class's students had done? Could it be Devil class's students were so strong that no one present could see their actions? High Profound Class 1 is very smart. An elegant voice sounded clear and melodious. Dmo Xian stood up slowly, his white robe fluttering like a deity. Dong Huang Lang and Qi Yijing looked at each other and smiled. We just want to retain the dignity of High Profound Class 1. This wasn't just their opinion, but the entire High Profound Class 1's opinion. Earth Profound 9th grade Lu Shui Yu was easily crushed in Yi Qing Luo's hands. No matter what method Yi Qing Luo used to make Lu Shui Yu lose her battle ability. That was Yi Qing Luo's methods and ability. There were also 61 Devil class students who managed to not be eliminated from the class even though they were sandwiched between the 99 High Profound Class 2 students. Instead, they managed to eliminate the other 99 students. It was enough to show that Devil class students were not as simple as they looked on the surface. Take a look at High Profound Class 2, they have now become the laughingstock of the crowd. They might as well admit defeat. At the very least, they wouldn't have lost so badly in tomorrow's match. In the end, they wouldn't have been told that 500 people couldn't defeat 62 people. Moreover, when the spectators knew the true power of Devil class, these people would definitely praise them for their intelligence. Cough cough. Cloud cleared his throat. He couldn't believe that things would turn out like this. Based on past years, even if they knew they would lose, those classes would fight until the very last moment and would never admit defeat. After all, No one knew what would happen if it didn't happen. And a miracle could happen at any time. In that case, High Profound Class 1 has decided to admit defeat and stop at the finals? Cloud repeated his question. Dong Huang Lang and Qi Yijing turned back and looked at the waiting area of High Profound Class 1. Chapter 12:24. The moment High Profound Class 1 shouted in unison, the crowd's wails rang throughout the entire West Lawn Square. Don't admit defeat. You can still fight. Stop joking, there are close to 500 people in your High Profound Class 1. Devil Class only has 60 over people, why can't we fight? High Profound Class 1, don't be a coward, stand up and continue fighting. If you admit defeat, we'll have to pay a huge loss. One of them mentioned about the private bet. Immediately, those spectators who had bought the betting tickets then remembered that they had spent a huge sum of money to buy the betting ticket. Their intestines were green with regret. One by one, they howled loudly, asking High Profound Class 1 to continue fighting for their betting tickets. Perhaps they could still win and even turn the tables around. As for those pitiful Devil Class, those who had bought Devil Class started cheering excitedly. A total of 3,000 over betting tickets, only 200 over people bought Devil Class. Even if they bought less, they could still earn quite a lot of money. Under the crowd's astonishment, grief and howls, Cloud finally announced, in this round of interclass competition, only one class has entered the finals, Devil Class. Congratulations to Devil Class for entering the finals. When this announcement came out from Cloud's mouth, the entire West Lawn Square fell into a dead silence. After the announcement, even if High Profound Class 1 didn't want to admit defeat, they wouldn't have another chance. From the moment Cloud announced the end, Devil Class, they had become the only class in the finals which was also the champion of this interclass competition. The final champion was Devil Class. This result was totally out of everyone's expectations. At this moment, the crowd suddenly heard a sharp voice. Impossible! Yiqing Luo, you slut! You must have done something in the dark. How could Devil Class possibly win? How could they possibly win? The crowd looked towards the direction of the voice. They saw a disheveled Shangguan Luli, pointing at the stage with a crazed look as she cursed. Behind him, a few tall guards were holding on to Shangguan Luli and dragging her back. But Shangguan Luli somehow had the strength to break free from the guard's restraint. She raised her voice, cursing in a heart-wrenching voice, "You framed me! You caused me to become like this! You even framed High Profound Class 2 and Class 1! What right do you have to be the champion? Your Devil Class is just a bunch of trash! I refuse to accept this! I can't accept this!" Shangguan Luli had already gone completely crazy. After hearing Yun Duan announce that Yiqing Luo had won the championship, she couldn't handle the news and went crazy. How could Yiqing Luo possibly win the championship? How could the Devil Class win first place? She didn't believe that all of this was fake. She did not believe it at all. Devil Class is the waste class of the Heavenly Academy. The students who are assigned to the Devil Class are the students with the worst qualifications in all the years that they entered the Academy. They were the vermin of the Heavenly Academy. Heavenly Academy's trash. How could he possibly win the final victory in the interclass competition? The current Heavenly Academy's comprehensive strength is so weak? Even a trash class can win first place? Anyway, he had already been expelled from the Academy. Shangguan Luli no longer had a future to speak of. Questioning the Academy and insulting the Academy were nothing to her anymore. Chapter 12:25. Evidence. Shangguan Luli suddenly quietened down. She raised her head and glanced at the director with a smile which didn't look like a smile, as she laughed softly. "Sir Director, what face do you have to pretend to be innocent in front of me? Don't think that I don't know about your trivial matters. Now I have nothing to worry about, at most it's a life and death struggle, I'll spill out all your trivial matters." You. The director was so infuriated that his face turned red, as though he was humiliated. In actual fact, he was so infuriated that he was gritting his teeth, wishing that he could stuff Shangguan Liuli's mouth. When he knew that Shangguan Liuli had no value to be used, he should have gotten someone to kill her directly. You dare to let Yiqing Luo win first place. I dare to spill out your matters. Shangguan Liuli saw that the director had been intimidated, as she started to talk about the conditions unscrupulously. When the guards behind heard this, they stopped their actions of dragging Shangguan Liuli away forcefully. Heavenly Dean's trivial matters? The Heavenly Dean's handle? If the Shangguan family could make use of this handle, with the help of the Heavenly Academy, perhaps there was a way to regroup? Unreasonable! Unreasonable! The director's face was dignified as he pointed at Shangguan Liuli, as he was so angry that he was trembling. I'm upright, I'm not afraid of any slandering, I can take it. He squinted his eyes slightly as his astute and dignified gaze swept past the two guards behind Shangguan Liuli as his voice sunk. Shangguan Liuli, I allow you to spout nonsense. That's on account that you were once a student of the Heavenly Academy. If you continue to be unreasonable, then don't blame me for rectifying the atmosphere of the Heavenly Academy. Shangguan Liuli laughed maniacally. My beloved Sir Director, are you really not afraid that I'll put you in hay? Ugh! Before she could finish her words, her mouth was suddenly blocked by someone. Those two guards who originally didn't intend to interfere seemed to have received some orders, as they suddenly rushed forward and tightly covered Shangguan Liuli's mouth. Ugh! 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 Shangguan Liuli struggled with all her might. This time, he was unable to break free from the two of them. Another guard cupped his fists towards the dean. Apologies, Dean. Today our fifth miss was clamoring to watch today's competition, that's why we brought fifth miss here. But we didn't expect that fifth miss would lose control of her emotions because of the devil class winning the championship, and slander Dean like that. That's right, Dean Xian. Ever since our fifth miss was expelled from the academy, she has been acting crazily. It's our fault for not managing fifth miss well and disturbing everyone. We brothers apologize to everyone here. The expression on the dean's face softened a little. He narrowed his sinister eyes and looked at Shangguan Liuli with a dignified look. Slander me, I don't mind, but this Heavenly Academy is my lifeline. I will never allow anyone to question the Heavenly Academy. The two guards apologized profusely. Then, he carried Shangguan Liuli on his shoulder and hurriedly wanted to leave this place. Wait! A sweet voice that was as crisp as a silver bell rang out leisurely. They saw Yiqing Luo, who was standing on the arena stage, suddenly flew up and directly leapt in front of Shangguan Liuli. That peerless beauty was unparalleled. Dressed in a red dress, she was like a stunning flower that bloomed in the flames. She smiled faintly as she gazed at Shangguan Liuli. It's only been a day and fifth Miss Shangguan has turned into such a state. Looks like after fifth Miss Shangguan failed in the preliminary round, she was completely abandoned by the dark forces. Shangguan Liuli, who was originally carried on the guard's shoulder, stared at her venomously, grinding her teeth. Chapter 12:26. The one who ruined everything ruined your future, whether it was me or you know it best. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up slightly as she looked at Shangguan Liuli's crazed face. She knew that this young lady had been completely devoured by the dark forces. Shangguan Liuli had gone crazy. What supported her to live till now was her hatred and resentment towards Yiqing Luo. To what extent could a person's resentment reach? Shangguan Liuli was a living example. Her resentment was so strong that it was enough to support a dying body to appear in front of her. Shangguan Liuli, do you still remember the blood vow we made? Yiqing Luo smiled. Shangguan Liuli's pupils constricted as she screamed sharply. Following that, she struggled even more fiercely. Slut! You despicable, shameless slut! Our blood vow was, if the devil class won first place, you will destroy your profound jade heart and break all the veins in your limbs. Do you still remember? Yiqing Luo wasn't affected by Shangguan Lu Li's craziness as she continued talking. Her slender fingers covered her mouth as she yawned. I thought I could let you live for another day, but I didn't expect that today, the smart class, high profound class 1, has chosen to admit defeat. Then, this also means that I am the champion of this year's interclass competition. After a pause, she continued. It also means that I have won our bet. Yiqing Luo's words were not to belittle the high profound class 1. She specially used the words smart class, which DMO Xian mentioned, and used it on the high profound class 1. With DMO Xian's current status, he could even say a few words in the headquarters. His recognition of high profound class 1 meant that he was indeed praising high profound class 1. Shangguan Luli clenched her fists tightly as she had no words to refute. They made a blood vow. No one dared to go back on their words, and no one could violate the bet. Because no one could escape the curse of the blood vow. The craziness on Shangguan Lu Li's face was gradually replaced by fear. She wasn't willing to fulfill the bet as she didn't want to lose her profound jade heart. She who was expelled from the academy had completely become a target of bullying in the Shangguan family. She was able to live until now, completely relying on the profound jade heart, relying on the profound rank to survive. If he lost his profound heart jade, his meridians would be crippled and he would become a cripple. The Shangguan family would definitely abandon her. She would become an abandoned cripple. Shangguan Liuli's body began to tremble in fear. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed slightly. The corners of her long and narrow eyes were filled with a chilly killing intent. Even if Shangguan Liuli was about to die, she did not intend to let her off so easily. She wanted Shangguan Liuli to experience endless pain while she was still alive, to lose all her faith. This was the consequence of Shangguan Liuli cooperating with the dark forces. This was the result of Shangguan Liuli using the mysterious Yin Qi to attack her brothers again and again. Her brother was her reverse scale. Yiqing Luo raised her eyes and shot a cold glance at that guard. The guard felt his hair stand on end, and a chill ran down his spine. Yiqing Luo's gaze towards him was filled with an eerie, deathly aura. Subconsciously, he threw Shangguan Liuli onto the ground, not daring to go against Yiqing Luo. Earlier, the guard had seen with his own eyes how Shangguan Liuli crushed the earth-profound 9th grade Lu Shuiyu without any pressure. In order to save his life, how could the guard care about this 5th miss who had already become a cripple? What's more, the matter of 5th miss and Yiqing Luo's bet was already known by everyone. Chapter 12:27. Yiqing Luo nodded her head in satisfaction. She slowly walked to Shangguan Liuli's side and slightly bent down. Looking down at Shangguan Liuli, who was lying on the ground, she said with a light smile, "5th Miss Shangguan, do you think we should start with the profound heart jade or the tendons?" You dare." Shangguan Liuli crawled a few steps back in terror. Her eyes widened as she stared at Yiqing Luo in shock. But when she saw Yiqing Luo's smiling eyes, Shangguan Liuli only felt an extremely cold chill from the bottom of her feet to her head. That chill was like the death qi from hell summoning her. This knowledge made Shangguan Liuli's face turn even paler. She screamed in terror as she kept kicking her legs and crawling backwards. "You slut! You dare to touch my profound jade heart, you dare to touch my meridians. I will not let you off even if I become a ghost. You can't even deal with me when you're a human, what more when you're a ghost?" Yiqing Luo ridiculed softly as the corners of her lips curled up in ridicule. Following that, she raised her little hand. A ray of red light moved in her palm. She raised her palm up high and aimed at Shangguan Liuli's heart as she fiercely poked. "Stop." The gentle voice was like an oriole's cry. A white figure approached from afar and swiftly stood in front of Yiqing Luo. That snow-white long dress was like a blooming white lotus. "Student Yi, we're classmates after all, why are you so overbearing?" She creased her pretty brows as a sliver of displeasure appeared in between her brows. as though she felt that Yi Qing Luo's actions were extremely shameless. That originally beautiful, exquisite and cold face, because of the frowning expression, made all the men present feel pity, wanting to take this lady into their arms and dote on her. The number one beauty. It's the number one beauty, student Zi Qianqian. So beautiful. Heavens, my heart. The crowd stared at that lady in a daze as their hearts started to become infatuated. One red and one white, one beautiful and one charming. Two completely different types of ladies, but had the same stunning looks standing together. This made all the men feast their eyes, wishing that their eyeballs could stick on these two. Zi Qianqian? Yi Qing Luo frowned slightly. The name sounded familiar, and I Rupen seemed to have mentioned it before. In this year's interclass competition, there was an additional round to challenge the overseer. It seemed like the class that won the 7 classes in the Heavenly Academy could choose to compete with the top authors. And this overseer was Zi Qianqian. When she saw Zi Qianqian's looks, Yi Qing Luo completely understood why she felt that this lady was so familiar. It was not an I Rupen's nagging. Instead, this was not the first time they had met. When he went to the tomb of the Ling King, he met the vice-captain of the Killing God mercenary group, Zi Qianqian. That arrogant and complacent girl. Unexpectedly, she was actually a student of the class of gods, and the overseer of this year's interclass competition. Yi Qing Luo raised her brows in interest. Classmate Yi, Shangguan Liuli colluded with the dark forces and tried to use the dark forces' power to win. She was wrong, but you are so cruel and merciless. You should not have made such a vicious bet with her. Zi Qianqian's words were filled with righteous indignation. Her voice was still gentle and beautiful, but with an unquestionable charm. The crowd clapped and cheered. This was the number one beauty in the Heavenly Academy. Not only was she beautiful, her ability was outstanding, and she had such a proper view of the world. Chapter 12:28. Those onlookers who were fanning the flames and waiting to watch a good show. As though they were brainwashed, they started to follow Zi Qianqian's words and accused Yi Qing Luo of being vicious. When Yi Qing Luo heard that, she was so angry that she laughed. She squinted her eyes mischievously and her eerie voice was transmitted into their ears. So, Student Z is begging me to let go of 5th Miss Shangguan? Beg? This word made Zi Qianqian's expression congeal. That pair of determined beautiful eyes flashed past a trace of sharpness. Not waiting for Zi Qianqian to speak, Yi Qing Luo laughed sinisterly. But, if Devil class doesn't get first place in this competition, will 5th Miss Shangguan let me off? Zi Qianqian felt a chill down her spine. That laughter, that voice, was obviously pleasing to the ears. But she felt that it sounded like a voice from hell. She tried her best to calm herself down, took a deep breath and continued speaking gently. Of course, 5th Miss Shangguan. Of course she won't let me off. Yi Qing Luo directly interrupted Zi Qianqian's words, not giving her any face at all. In order to win me, she didn't hesitate to cooperate with the dark forces and borrow their power. Does this look like she will let it go? Zi Qianqian's face flushed red and a trace of anger surfaced on her beautiful face. She had no words to refute Yi Qing Luo's words. If Devil class was to be eliminated in today's competition, Shangguan Luli would absolutely not let Yi Qing Luo off. But she had already spoken up for Shangguan Luli and gained the crowd's compliments. If she were to give up now, not only would it seem that she was afraid of Yi Qing Luo, she would also be ridiculed by others. No matter what, she would protect Shangguan Luli today. Thinking of this, Zi Qianqian's beautiful eyes lifted up slightly as she stared at Yi Qing Luo, refusing to give in. This is just your imagination. 5th Miss Shangguan has always been kind-hearted. Even if she accepted the Dark Forces' cooperation, it was because of your bet. Now you've already won the interclass competition and caused 5th Miss Shangguan to leave the academy. Isn't that enough? The more she said, the more indignant Zi Qianqian was. Must you force her to the end before you are willing to let it go? Pfft, An uncontrollable laughter broke the solemn atmosphere that had been created with great difficulty. Yiqing Luo burst out laughing, unable to straighten her back. Her beautiful face was smiling like a flower, and her pair of curved eyes looked even more enchanting. This smile seemed to cause everything in the surroundings to lose their splendor. Yiqing Luo was even more holy and pure, peerlessly beautiful. Even Zi Qianqian, who was filled with righteous indignation at the side, could not help but feel inferior. You? What are you laughing at? Zi Qianqian's beautiful eyes were piercingly cold. I laughed at your stupidity. Yiqing Luo didn't give him any face as she smiled charmingly. Do you think I alone can decide on the bet? Many of you should have witnessed the bet that day. Did I force Shangguan Liuli to agree to the bet? Zi Qianqian was speechless. She wasn't too clear about the bet. Furthermore, what does our bet have to do with you? There's no need to spread your pure Virgin Mary aura everywhere. If you really have good intentions, why not accept the consequences of the bet on her behalf? Yiqing Luo snorted lightly. Her laughter was filled with ridicule and ridicule. Zi Qianqian's pupils contracted slightly, her brows were overflowing with embarrassment. She clenched her fists tightly in the dark. This Yiqing Luo had embarrassed her time and time again. Chapter 12:29. Moreover, Yiqing Luo dragged out the last syllable as she squinted her eyes at Zi Qianqian with a faint smile. Shangguan Luli deserved to be expelled from the academy. Because of greed, she sold her soul. What has it got to do with me? Don't push the blame to me, I don't have the habit of taking the blame. But, Student Z is such a pure saint, you must like to take the blame for others, right? She chuckled and raised her eyebrows at Zi Qianqian. Compared to listening to your nonsense, I prefer to take action directly. My pure and kind Holy Mother Z, are you going to accept the bet for Shangguan Liuli? Although Zi Qianqian didn't quite understand Yiqing Luo's words, but she understood the words pure and kind white lotus. It was obviously a beautiful compliment, but Zi Qianqian was very clear that Yiqing Luo was absolutely not complimenting her. Her face darkened, and a bitter resentment flashed across her eyes. Student Yi, what enmity do you have with Shangguan 5th Miss? Why did he have to kill the Shangguan 5th Miss? Did the Yi family teach you to conduct yourself in this way? Zi Qianqian had no way out now. She simply mentioned the Yi family in an attempt to make Yiqing Luo let Shangguan Luli off for the family's reputation. What responded to Zi Qianqian was a painful scream. Fresh blood splattered out. Zi Qianqian was stunned on the spot and couldn't react in time. Drops of blood splattered on her snow-white dress. Shangguan Luli was in so much pain that her delicate body twisted as she laid on the ground twitching powerlessly. There was a fist-sized hole on her chest as blood kept gushing out. Everyone's vision was fixed on Yiqing Luo. No, more accurately, they were staring at Yiqing Luo's hand. Not a single drop of blood could be seen on her fair hands. She was holding a piece of blood jade-like thing. The blood couldn't hide the orange glow of that jade-like thing. Orange-grade profound jade heart. This was Shangguan Luli's profound jade heart. Yiqing Luo actually dug out Shangguan Luli's profound jade heart with her bare hands. This scene was so bloody that it made many girls vomit directly. The entire West Billow Square was silent except for the sounds of people sucking in cold breaths and vomiting. Yiqing Luo's lips curled into a sly smile. The expression on her face was indifferent. Not the slightest bit, it was the expression of a 15-year-old girl. It was as if she was already used to such bloody things. You. Zi Qianqian was frightened by the look in her eyes. What kind of eyes were they? Like a sharp blade, it ruthlessly stabbed into her heart. It was a kind of suffocating pain. Zi Qianqian couldn't believe that Yiqing Luo had completely disregarded her face and dug out Shangguan Liuli's profound jade heart. Without the slightest hesitation. Yiqing Luo didn't put her in her eyes at all. Zi Qianqian's expression changed slightly, and his breathing became heavier. I'm really sorry. It's rare for the number one beauty, student Zi Qianqian, to beg me to let Shangguan Liuli off. I accidentally dug out Shangguan Liuli's profound heart jade. Yiqing Luo put on an astonished look as she looked at the profound heart jade in her hand. Her eyes were curved and her smile was extremely casual. She smiled lightly as she waved her hand, as she spoke with a helpless look. It almost made Zi Qianqian vomit blood. Beg? When did she beg Yiqing Luo? Did she need to be so shameless? Chapter 1230. Usually, Zi Qianqian had a noble and elegant look. Everyone was afraid of her status as a student of the class of gods and envied her reputation as the number one beauty. She had never had any disputes with anyone. Choked by Yiqing Luo's few sentences, she was stunned and couldn't refute a single word. Zi Qianqian tried her best to restrain her anger. She couldn't lose her demeanor as the number one beauty in front of thousands of people. And she absolutely couldn't let anyone get hold of her weakness to insult her. Yiqing Luo's action was obviously a slap to her face. She had always protected Shangguan Liuli. Yiqing Luo didn't say a word and directly dug out the profound heart jade in front of her. This was provoking Zi Qianqian, and also slapping Zi Qianqian's face. She took a deep breath and tried her best to maintain her calm voice. Yiqing Luo, you are simply too vicious. Towards her accusation, Yiqing Luo didn't get angry but instead smiled. Immediately she raised the profound heart jade in her palm and spread it out in front of Zi Qianqian. Her 5 fingers suddenly clenched tightly. A burst of profound qi directly exploded in her palm. Boom! An explosion sounded. That orange-grade profound heart jade directly exploded into pieces in Yiqing Luo's hands. Damn! She actually destroyed an orange-grade profound heart jade. Student Yi, you can leave it for me if you don't want it. I want it all. You are too willing. Although Shangguan Liuli's Earth Profound 6th grade borrowed the power of the dark forces, but she herself should also be a profound mystic realm cultivator. You can completely absorb her profound qi to consolidate yourself. When the crowd saw such a luxurious scene, they all beat their chests and stamped their feet as they cried out. The profound heart jade could be refined by other cultivators, although the refining method was more complicated and more difficult. But, even if she didn't refine it herself, she could sell it to others to refine. After all, it was a profound mystic realm cultivator's profound heart jade. Destroyed just like that, what a pity! Heartache. The first bet, cripple the profound heart jade. Yiqing Luo smiled. Then, next. The second, cripple the tendons of the hands and feet. Yiqing Luo lowered her eyes and stared at Shangguan Liuli, who was lying on the ground, unable to move due to excessive blood loss. Fifth, Miss Shangguan, don't worry, I will act very quickly. I will absolutely not let you feel any pain. Shangguan Liuli trembled in fear. A sharp pain came from the wound on his chest. Her eyes widened as she stared fiercely at Yiqing Luo. But Yiqing Luo had no intention to look at her in the eye. Yiqing Luo opened her fingers and the glower flame fan appeared in her hands. She shook it, and a red electric current coiled around the glowing flame fan. She aimed the glowing flame fan at Shangguan Liuli's arm, and the electric current shot up like a red sharp knife, cutting Shangguan Liuli's arm. Bang! A stream of profound energy suddenly repelled the red light. Zi Qianqian waved his sleeve and conjured a mystical energy barrier in front of Shangguan Liuli. Her gaze was vicious as she stared at Yiqing Luo. Student Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo dared to ignore her. In the Ling King's tomb, Yiqing Luo had tried time and time again to sow discord between her and the Death God mercenary group. And time again to embarrass her. And time again to snatch her limelight. Now, she even embarrassed her in public. Chapter 1231. Zi Qianqian's words made Yiqing Luo's movements halted. Devil class was the champion class. Devil class could choose whether to challenge the overseer or not. After challenging the overseer, they could enter the class of gods to undergo special training. although she had no interest in the class of gods. But the other students in Devil class were still yearning for the class of gods. If they could enter the class of gods to undergo special training, it would be a huge upgrade for those students. After some time, Yi-Ching Luo kept her glower flame fan. I forgot that there's still you, the overseer. Zi Qianqian's face turned black. Then let's temporarily leave Shangguan Liuli's meridians for another day. Yi-Ching Luo lazily stretched her waist and directly returned to the stage without even turning her head back, totally disregarding Zi Qianqian. After she returned to the stage, she looked at Yun Duan and gave a polite smile. Tomorrow, Devil class will challenge the overseer. Yun Duan's gaze towards Yi-Ching Luo was filled with curiosity. No one could imagine it. Such a young lady, how did she manage to face such a bloody scene without any expression? So direct and efficient, digging out Shangguan Lu Li's profound heart jade and directly destroying it. Even if it was them, they would not be able to do it so directly. Are Devil class sure to challenge the overseer? Once the challenge is confirmed, it cannot be changed. Yun Duan solemnly reminded, if tomorrow's competition is lost, the class of gods will become the new champion class, while Devil class can only be considered as stopping at the finals. This meant Yi-Ching Luo and Shangguan Lu Li's bet, considered as Yi-Ching Luo's loss. If they wanted to retain the title of champion class, the best way was to refuse to challenge the overseer. The crowd and the students all perked up as they looked at Yi-Ching Luo nervously. But, as the main character who was the focus of attention, Devil class's students were not nervous at all. They were incomparably calm as they whispered to each other, discussing who would go to the class of gods to receive special training. Listening to the Devil class's unbridled discussion, High Profound Class 2 students almost spat out a mouthful of blood. The crowd's lips twitched. Where did their confidence come from? How could they be so sure that they could win Zi Qianqian? They really couldn't blame the Devil class's students for being so calm. It was not their first time meeting Zi Qianqian. The performance of the god-slaying mercenary group in the tomb of the Ling King had amazed them. Their boss Qing Luo's ability was definitely stronger than Zi Qianqian's. Yes. Under everyone's anxious and curious gazes, Yi-Ching Luo replied word by word without hesitation. Then, tomorrow, the class will challenge the leader, student Zi Qianqian. Yun Duan announced. Soon after, he said some concluding words. It was already late, so they dispersed. As the crowd dispersed, the onlookers were still discussing what had just happened. Today's competition was really unexpected. Devil class defeated High Profound Class 2. High Profound Class 1 took the initiative to admit defeat. There was also the matter of Shangguan Liuli's profound heart jade being destroyed. It had already become a topic that everyone was talking about enthusiastically. When the Devil class students were about to leave the scene, they were still surrounded by the other classes or the crowd. They all wanted to ask the Devil class, how exactly did they win this competition? There were also many people from various forces who wanted to rope in this group of young students. But when the students of Devil class heard some comments, their faces turned ugly. Chapter 1232. The few students beside her nodded their heads in agreement. Digging out Shangguan Lu Li's profound heart jade in front of so many people. Boss, your reputation. A Devil class student howled. Under Zi Qianqian's intentional embellishment, Yi-Ching Luo had already become a vicious and merciless, overbearing and vicious woman. Now Yi-Ching Luo dug out Shangguan Lu Li's profound heart jade in front of everyone and directly blasted it into dregs. This totally proved Zi Qianqian's words. Probably, in the eyes of the surrounding crowd, Yi-Ching Luo had completely become a great demoness who killed without batting an eyelid. Yi-Ching Luo's slender brows rose as she disapprovingly shot a glance at the group of youngsters behind her. I did it on purpose. Huh? The students' footsteps halted as they looked at Yi-Ching Luo in astonishment. They were unable to understand the meaning in her word. Yiqing Luo also stopped in her tracks as she turned around and looked at this bunch of young students as she laughed lightly. Gentle and virtuous, #1 beauty, #1 genius and such reputation, I have no interest in it and it's not suitable for me. What I need is a position which no one dares to easily shake. So what if you're a great demoness? Now, those people, who dares to talk about devil class just because of a disagreement? Demoness, that was a title which made people afraid. Why couldn't she be a demoness? Yiqing Luo didn't want devil class to become like the class of gods, to be praised by everyone and be high up. The young lads and young ladies had not completely matured yet. Once they had a taste of that which made others envious, it would easily lead to a change in their mentality, to enjoy this taste, to be greedy for this taste. Rather than this, why not let devil class become a class which everyone feared? Because of fear, those people would also think of ways to destroy these students at the same time of fear. And if devil class's students didn't want to be destroyed by others, then they must work hard to make themselves stronger, to make themselves even more fearful. King Ling's tomb. She didn't bother to conceal, exposing Blue Dragon, Chi-Chi and God Relic in front of everyone, and making use of 3,000 peach blossoms to spread this matter. It was to lay down the foundation for the World Mercenary Group. It was to let everyone know that the World Group's ability was not something which they could imagine. But today, she dug out Shangguan Lu Li's profound heart jade in front of everyone. It was also to prove in front of everyone that she, Yiqing Luo, would do what she said. If she wanted to go against the devil class, her methods were not limited to these. If you're not convinced, give it a try. How would the onlookers dare to try? Who didn't know that Yiqing Luo had various divine dragon sacred beast god relic on her? Hence, everyone felt a sense of shock towards the devil class. Those voices that were nagging about how the devil class was a useless class gradually disappeared. This was the effect that Yiqing Luo wanted. Qing Luo's decision naturally has her reasons. Everyone go back to the dormitory and have a good rest, there's a tough battle tomorrow. Qiao Jin's peripheral vision saw a white figure walking over and he immediately waved his hand, separating the students from Yiqing Luo. Saying that, he pushed Yiqing Luo towards a certain direction. Tomorrow's match, Before Yiqing Luo could finish her words, because of that push from Qiao Jin, she lost her balance and her body suddenly fell backward. Yiqing Luo exerted a little strength on her waist, and was just about to flip over and get up. An arm wrapped around her waist. An electric current like numbness instantly made Yiqing Luo lose all her energy. Chapter 1233. It's only been a day and Lil Luo already misses me so much? A low, husky, magnetic voice, with a hint of ridicule, rang softly in her ears. A rich familiar sandalwood scent enveloped her entirely. In that voice, Yiqing Luo's petite body was like a puddle of water, leaning softly in his arms. Since the beauty has taken the initiative to throw herself into my arms, how can this lord reject? His words had just ended when Yiqing Luo's legs left the ground. Her entire body was brought into his warm embrace. Yiqing Luo was so shocked that she immediately stretched out her hand and circled around his neck. You? What are you doing? He was wearing revered Mo's face. In public, to do such an action would attract criticism. Dmo Xian's thin lips curled up slightly as his chest heaved up and down. A low laughter came from his throat, which was filled with charm. Yiqing Luo struggled a little as she turned her head to look at the surroundings. But she discovered that the devil class's students had very tacitly surrounded them in layers. As far as she could see, it was filled with students dressed in red class uniforms. Her suspended heart finally calmed down. So afraid of being discovered? Dmo Xian lowered his head. Warm, thin lips were pressed against her earlobe. A scorching hot breath sprayed onto her skin. Yiqing Luo's petite body trembled as she hurriedly turned her head, trying to struggle. But her head was held in place by Dmo Xian's large palm. His lips were still touching her ear, Lil Luo is so excited, don't tell me. Lil Luo likes such an exciting method of secret love? Yiqing Luo flew into a rage out of humiliation as her cheeks flushed red. She raised her fist and punched fiercely towards Dmo Xian's chest as she clenched her teeth and spat, "You're talking rubbish. Who likes secret love, who likes excitement? Let me down." Not letting go. Dmo Xian shamelessly tightened his grip as his deep eyes contained a smile which seemed to be able to melt an iceberg, unless you struggle free yourself. Yiqing Luo directly chose to give up resisting. What a joke. Her strength was not comparable to Dmo Xian, all right. Furthermore, whatever she wanted to do, Dmo Xian would know what she was going to do next. Trying to struggle free from his embrace? Hee. This was impossible even in a dream. Nestled in Dmo Xian's arms, under the escort of a group of students, the group left West Lawn Square and went straight back to the dormitory. The controversial person left. The next person to be debated was naturally the main character of the farce just now. For example, Zi Qianqian. For example, Shangguan Liuli had her profound heart jade dug out, and because she had lost too much blood, her entire face was deathly pale, and she looked extremely like a malicious spirit. She lay on the ground, her heart filled with resentment. But Shangguan Liuli was clear. Their defeat in the interclass competition, she no longer had the chance to take revenge. Because Yiqing Luo had exposed her collaboration with the dark forces in public, the Shangguan family deliberately led the crowd to suspect that the Shangguan family had also joined the dark forces. As a result, the current Shangguan family had already been forcibly removed from the four great families. He didn't have the honor of being one of the four great families. They, the Shangguan clan, were nothing. The enemies who had once humiliated and oppressed him were now all knocking on his door. Her father had long been fed up with her. If it wasn't for the fact that she still had some value, perhaps her father had already killed her to vent his anger. Shangguan Liuli painfully shut her eyes as she kept hating Yiqing Luo in her heart. Chapter 1234. Zi Qianqian stared at the direction where Yiqing Luo had left, deep in thought. Suddenly hearing guard Shangguan's words, she regained her senses and glanced at him indifferently. "No need to thank me." Saying that, she hid the deep meaning in her eyes and turned around to leave. She frowned slightly as her beautiful eyes congealed. What she saw earlier. Was it an illusion? Master Mo actually hugged Yiqing Luo in his arms? And in that kind of intimate and ambiguous position, hugging Yiqing Luo? Wasn't it said that Yiqing Luo was the lady whom the Overlord had taken a fancy to? Why was Yiqing Luo so intimate with Master Mo? That kind of hugging posture, it was definitely not just a relationship between a master and his student. Suddenly, Zi Qianqian recalled yesterday, when she got someone to inquire about Yiqing Luo's news, what that person told her. Master Mo had directly chosen to teach Devil class the moment he came back from the main courtyard. Apparently, he specially went to look for Yiqing Luo. There was definitely something between Master Mo and Yiqing Luo. Night. In a small mountain village not far from the West Square. The surroundings were desolate, without any signs of human presence. The air was filled with the stench of fresh blood. In one of the thatched huts, the candlelight elongated the two entangled figures in the room. Indistinctly there was an ambiguous panting sound that made one blush. The night was as cold as water. A slender figure stepped on the moonlight as she sped over. Just as she neared the thatched hut, her footsteps suddenly halted. The sound in the hut was extremely loud, as the wooden planks were rattling. The ambiguous voice pierced her cold and elegant face, making it seem even paler. Cough! The lady's face was pale, suppressing the anger in her chest as she coughed. The sound in the hut paused, and became even more intense, totally not restrained because of the lady's arrival. Xiang. Holy technique. Outside. The fragmented voice was filled with a man's coquettish charm. but because of the ferocious treatment, there was no way to complete a sentence. The candlelight swayed, the wooden planks in the silent night were exceptionally loud. The lady outside could not bear it any longer, as she lifted her leg and directly kicked open that tottering door. The lady clutched her chest as she staggered into the hut. The two entangled in the hut, as though they were not affected by her, as they continued to tangle. Then, he saw that the woman's face was pale and she looked like she was heavily injured. Only then did the two of them react. Xiang Xingfa tore off his clothes and casually covered the man under him. Then, he stood up and walked towards the woman. "What's wrong with you? Why do you look so pathetic?" The woman pushed away Xiang Xingfa's hand in disgust and stumbled against the wooden table. He seemed to have stepped on something. She looked down and saw a corpse that had been cut in half. Judging from his attire, he was obviously the owner of this thatched cottage. She frowned and kicked the half of the corpse away. "You guys can even afford to play in this kind of place. Your taste is really heavy." Xiang Xingfe looked back at Si Yenmu, who was dressed neatly, and laughed out loud. "As long as Mu Mu is here, I can be interested in any place." Si Yenmu draped the long robe embroidered with an elephant pattern on Xiang Xingfa's body. When he heard this, his gentle jade-like face immediately turned red. "Xiang, you are teasing me again." Xiang Xingfa's eyes darkened, as if he wanted to hold Si Yenmu in his arms again and have a good time with him. "Both of you, enough is enough." The woman impatiently patted the table. This slap caused her chest to ache incessantly. Chapter 12:35. "What?" Elephant Xingfa's expression darkened. He glared at the woman in front of him and said, "Didn't you say that there would be no problem if you were to go?" That lady's face was pale, a pair of ruthless eyes shot out intense hatred. "This saint has belittled Yi Qing Luo, that little slut, allowing her to take advantage of the loophole. Lord Saint technique. Devil class obtained the leader position?" Si Yenmu's expression changed slightly as he asked anxiously. The woman acted as if someone had touched her bad luck. She grabbed the things on the table and threw them at Si Yenmu's face. "Why didn't you tell me earlier about that little slut's ability to poison?" Si Yenmu did not dare to dodge. A big palm blocked in front of Si Yenmu. Xiang Xingfa caught the thing that was thrown over and said calmly, "That's enough, Dai. You can be angry, but if you hurt Mumu's face, don't blame me for falling out with you." The woman was so angry that she snorted and turned her head away. Si Yenmu clenched the close of the elephant holy technique and looked at the woman lying in the haystack not far away. "If the task fails, then what will happen to Lu Shuiyu? What? Do you feel sorry for her?" The woman turned her head and sneered. Her line of sight followed Si Yenmu's line of sight and looked at the woman in the haystack. Their faces were exactly the same. Even if one looked closely, it was impossible to tell which one was the real Lu Shuiyu. He was right. The woman conversing with the sacred art of elephant was one of the 4 sacred arts that had disguised herself as Lu Shuiyu to participate in the interclass competition, the sacred art of butterfly. How could that be? Si Yenmu anxiously looked at Xiang Xingfe, for fear that he would misunderstand. "I hate her more than enough. How could I feel sorry for her? But Lu Shuiyu is still of use to us." There won't be any left soon." The sacred butterfly technique sneered and looked away. "You guys better think about how you're going to explain this to the Lord." At the mention of their Lord, their expressions suddenly became extremely solemn. Recently, the Imperial Palace had been harassing the Dark Coalition with the excuse of being attacked by the Dark Coalition. Moreover, because of Yi Qing Luo, the number of cultivators' souls which he had absorbed recently was getting lesser and lesser. At this moment, if they brought the news of their failed mission back to the Dark Forces, would the Lord directly tear their hands into pieces? Since when have I ever suffered such humiliation? Yi Qing Luo, that little slut. I will play her to death sooner or later. Saint Butterfly clenched her teeth and covered her chest. That's right, that little bitch knows how to poison people, and she's pretty good at it. If you guys have any other plans, you'd better be prepared. In the dormitory, the students who were smiling ambiguously were chased back to their rooms. Yiqing Luo took a look at the man behind her. Aren't you going to settle the Imperial Palace's matters? Why did he make it look like Supreme Mo? Where's Feng? I missed you. Mo Xian wrapped his arms around her waist from behind and rubbed against her delicate shoulders. Ah Feng is hiding in the dark. If you want to order him around, you can call him anytime. Yiqing Luo was tickled by his actions as she giggled. Mo Xian's slender fingers brushed past the strands of hair on her forehead. You don't have to worry about the Imperial Palace, just concentrate on the competition. Yiqing Luo knitted her brows. She knew that based on her current ability, even if something happened to the Imperial Palace, she wouldn't be of any help at all. But this feeling of being isolated was something she didn't like at all. Just as she was about to open her mouth, Mo Xian's finger pressed against her pink lips. Chapter 1236. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips lightly. A pair of enchanting eyes fixed on Mo Xian. He didn't want her to get involved in the matters of the Imperial Palace, so he deliberately changed the topic. Could it be was she really that weak in his eyes? As if he had seen through Yiqing Luo's thoughts, Mo Xian withdrew his hand and heaved a long sigh. In the next instant, his long arms exerted strength and pulled her into his embrace. Lil Luo, what nonsense are you thinking about? Mo Xian's large palm covered the back of Yiqing Luo's head, as he hugged her tightly in his arms. Yiqing Luo's eyelashes fluttered slightly as she slowly raised her eyes. Even though she had seen that peerless face countless times, it still made her heart palpitate. From this angle, she could clearly see the helplessness hidden in Mo Xian's eyes. When those deep peach blossom eyes looked at her, it was as if they carried all the gentleness and love in the world. I didn't want to tell you just to make you feel at ease. Mo Xian's slender fingers brushed past her brows. The Imperial Palace's harassment towards the dark forces had a certain effect. Not only did it create pressure for the dark forces, you should be able to have some peace these few days. Yiqing Luo blinked her eyes as she immediately digested Mo Xian's words. As it turned out, Mo Xian would take the opportunity of the Wolf Saint Technique's attack to completely control the public opinion. Then, he openly sent out the Imperial Palace's disciples to fight and harass the dark forces several times. He said that he wanted to destroy the Wolf Saint's forces. However, he had never used his true strength. He had only used simple harassment. Was it all for her? Yiqing Luo's arms hugged his waist tightly as her brows rose up. All right, it's my fault for letting my imagination run wild, but you can't hide everything from me. Then, little Luo, you can't hide it from me. Her lower jaw was abruptly lifted by Mo Xian's slender fingers. In Yiqing Luo's pupils, that face which made her heart fluttered was magnified infinitely. A warm and domineering kiss landed on her lip. That force was extremely ferocious and in just a moment, it had completely swallowed Yiqing Luo. The kiss became increasingly sorrowful and ambiguous. It was as though he wanted to merge Yiqing Luo into his blood and bones. Yiqing Luo's face was flushed red, her petite body had no strength at all. She wanted to struggle and breathe, but the man's grip on her tightened. Little Luo, Mo Xian's hoarse voice softly called out her name. Mo Xian's large palm was tightly wrapped around her waist belt. His body was burning hot and taut. A single kiss was enough to make him unable to restrain himself. He wanted Lil Luo. When he had actually become so desperate for Lil Luo, Zun expressed that the man was so hungry that he was only thinking about how to make love to his little Luo heir. Ah Xian. No, you can't. Yiqing Luo blushed, deeply feeling the changes in the man's body. She blushed, her hands clutching the front of his shirt tightly. Lil Luo, do you really have the heart to pay for the rest of your life's fortune? Mo Xian suppressed his voice, as it was filled with a thick desire. He held the little woman's hand and reached out. Are you sure I can stop now? Yiqing Luo was so shocked that she hurriedly slapped Diamo Xian's hand away, as her face turned even redder. Pervert. Diamo Xian's half-squinted peach blossom eyes, as rippling lights shone down resplendent luster. He bent over and kissed her earlobe, as his hoarse voice became even more sexy. I'm only perverted towards you. Chapter 12:37. Ah! Yiqing Luo cried out in shock as her body was placed on the soft bed. A head of fine black hair scattered over the head of the bed, like a blooming flower, gorgeous beyond compare. Her little face blushed red as her little hand propped against his chest. Ah, Xian? Stop first, listen to me. MPH. His lips came down on hers, fiercely kissing her lips, stopping her from rejecting him. Yiqing Luo struggled even more. Her pair of charming eyes were stained with a layer of mist because of his kiss. Her charming eyes were like silk, exceptionally enchanting. Diamo Xian's thick palm, with a thin layer of callus, caressed Yiqing Luo's body. Yiqing Luo panted even more violently. He half propped himself up, as he gazed at the crimson cheeks, seductive young lady below him. An indescribable feeling surged from his lower abdomen. The fire in his eyes, with a whoosh, burned extremely vigorously. Ah, Xian! Yiqing Luo saw him finally stopping, as she immediately called out Diamo Xian's name. Because of the suffocating kiss, she was panting heavily. This coquettish call was accompanied by light panting, as though it was a seductive moan. When Yiqing Luo's gaze faced towards Diamo Xian, attempting to make him calm down, her entire person was instantly stunned. Her petite body also froze. His gaze, scorching and boiling hot. It was like a burning fire, staring at her with a scorching gaze, as though he wanted to swallow her into his abdomen. Under this fiery gaze, Yiqing Luo only felt that her body seemed to be on fire. Lil Luo trying to escape? Sensing the stiff young lady in his arms, Diamo Xian bent down, as he laughed softly beside her ear. What responded to him was increasingly heavy and urgent panting. Diamo Xian's smile became even more unbridled. In future, dare to let your imagination run wild? Yiqing Luo shook her head like a rattledrum. Her charming eyes stared straight at Diamo Xian, as a sliver of tears, as her long curly eyelashes fluttered. As though she was telling Diamo Xian, look at me, I'm the most sincere, I will definitely not let my imagination run wild. That adorable look made Diamo Xian's pupils contracted continuously. The fire was burning more and more violently. Since you know you're in the wrong, don't reject me. Diamo Xian locked her hands behind her back and used one hand to undo Yiqing Luo's clothes. Using his magnetic and hoarse voice, he continued, Lil Luo, when I see you, I want to kiss you, I want to hold you in my arms, I want to do what I'm doing to you now. You. Yiqing Luo was so embarrassed that she didn't know what to say to refute. She had always known that men thought with their lower bodies, but he didn't know that even Diamo Xian was the same. She still had a competition tomorrow. Now, let Diamo Xian eat everything clean. Yiqing Luo expressed that based on Diamo Xian's current, hungry look, she would absolutely not have the strength to stand up tomorrow. Furthermore, what's more, right now Yiqing Luo's eyes were moist as she wriggled her body, trying to break free from his hand to stop Diamo Xian. Ah, Xian, I really know I'm in the wrong. I promise I won't let my imagination run wild. Don't. The man's hand had already ripped off her clothes. A scorching hot breath sprayed on her body. After that, his fingers unbuttoned Yiqing Luo's skirt. Just as he was about to probe in, suddenly, his expression congealed. Following that, his body stiffened. He was completely stunned. That taut body, muscles tight and firm, as his gaze turned even more profound. That. Yiqing Luo coughed lightly, looking at the man's sunken face. She inexplicably felt that it was rather funny. Chapter 12:38. Diamo Xian's face sunk as he clenched his teeth and straightened Yiqing Luo's messy clothes. He flipped over and sat on the bed. That warm warmth suddenly dissipated as Yi Qing Luo blushed as she sat up and fastened her clothes properly. Her peripheral vision glanced towards Dmo Xian's direction from time to time. Both of them didn't say a word to break the awkward silence. It was until Yi Qing Luo had completely put on her clothes and tied them up, that little body nudged towards Dmo Xian's side. That, Yi Qing Luo obviously felt. The minute she moved, Dmo Xian's body instantly tensed up. His yearning had not completely disappeared. The corners of Yi Qing Luo's eyes suddenly curved into a long and narrow arc, as her eyes sparkled with a crafty luster. Ah Xian! Her voice turned tender as Yi Qing Luo's petite body directly covered Dmo Xian's back as her two little hands hugged his waist tightly. At such a close distance, she indeed felt the man's body tensed up and stiff. Vaguely, she could still hear Dmo Xian's heavy panting. Lil Luor! Dmo Xian swallowed his saliva as he suppressed the fire that was stirred up by this little lady. He raised his voice and his voice was extremely tensed. However, Yi Qing Luo didn't seem to hear the suppressed feelings in his words as she rubbed her petite body against his back. I've already reminded you, but you didn't listen, and now you're still fierce to me. After saying this sentence, Yi Qing Luo herself started to have goosebumps. But, in order to see Dmo Xian losing control, she endured it. Her words had just ended when Yi Qing Luo's body felt light as she fell onto the bed. The man's boiling hot chest pressed down on her. Dmo Xian's fingers clasped her lower jaw as he stared fiercely at Yi Qing Luo with his bloodshot eyes. Lil Luo, do you really think I don't dare to touch you? At this moment, Yi Qing Luo wasn't flustered like before. Instead, she giggled happily as her arms automatically wrapped around his neck as she whispered into his ear, "Amen, I'm just relying on the fact that you don't dare to touch me." Her curved eyes were filled with a crafty smile. Dmo Xian's arm, which was propped up by her side, clenched tightly into a fist. That peerless face was drenched in cold sweat. His taut expression was extremely terrifying. Staring at Yi Qing Luo's smiling eyes, Dmo Xian took a deep breath as he flipped over from Yi Qing Luo's body with a gloomy face. Yes, he could not touch her. It wasn't that he didn't dare to, but that he couldn't bear to. Looking at Dmo Xian's suppressed expression, Yi Qing Luo was in a good mood. Actually, if her body was able to sleep with Dmo Xian, and since she didn't have to compete tomorrow, she might have given in after her reluctance earlier. But it could only be said that Dmo Xian's timing and date were not right. Who knew that today was coincidentally the day her kuei water arrived? Cough, that's right, it was the legendary great-aunt visiting. In ancient times, there were no sanitary napkins like in modern times. Yi Qing Luo had always used soft silk cloth to make menstrual pads. Previously, when she was training the students in the academy, Dmo Xian had sneaked into her room several times to help her wash her clothes and had seen her improved sanitary pads. Hence, earlier when Dmo Xian touched it, he knew what it was. Dmo Xian's heart almost collapsed. Now he really wanted to rush out and raze the West Lawn public square to the ground. Calling for a stop at the last minute was fine. Lil Luo, or this little vixen, knew that he couldn't bear to do her at this moment. Chapter 1239. If it was during normal times, Dmo Xian would absolutely be excited and enjoy Lil Luo's initiative. But now it was pain and happiness. The famished him had long thought of pouncing on Yi Qing Luo from all angles without any blind spots. A call to stop midway, and he was still working on it. The little demoness was still stirring up the fire without any restraint. Provoke him? Provoking him? Yi Qing Luo's long eyelashes fluttered as she blinked her charming eyes. After she crawled up from the bed, she was like a little kitten as she snuggled into Dmo Xian's embrace. Her small hands circled around his waist again. The soft Xiao's body was pressed tightly against Dmo Xian's taut body. Yes, she was provoking Dmo Xian. Just by relying on Dmo Xian's unwillingness to part with her, Xiuhua in every possible way. She smiled seductively and leaned in his arms, looking up at the man's gloomy face. "Don't pull a long face." Saying that, he stretched out his hand to touch Demo Xian's face. Before it could even touch him, it was caught by Demo Xian's huge palm. He lowered his eyes and with a burning gaze, he stuck it onto Yi Qing Luo's body as his gaze burned. "Lil Luo, don't be complacent. In a few days' time, I will make you cry and beg for mercy." Demo Xian's long arm wrapped tightly around her slender waist. With a sudden burst of strength, he ruthlessly pressed her down onto his scorching lower abdomen. Yi Qing Luo's originally flirtatious eyes, intentionally provoking Demo Xian's little face, instantly turned red as she cried out in shock from Demo Xian's actions. Hearing Yi Qing Luo's panic screams, Demo Xian raised his eyebrows in satisfaction as he glanced sideways at Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo's face and ears were flushed red as she laid in his arms. Her mouth couldn't stop muttering that Demo Xian was a beast, a huge beast who had lost his mind. The little woman finally calmed down. Demo Xian heaved a sigh of relief. His self-control, after meeting Yi Qing Luo, was totally out of control. If Lil Luo continued to make a fuss, he couldn't guarantee that he wouldn't go berserk and directly do Yi Qing Luo. Wrapping his arms tightly around Yi Qing Luo's slender waist, Demo Xian diverted the topic. "Are you planning to go up alone for the challenge tomorrow?" Yi Qing Luo buried herself in his chest and responded in a low voice, and, according to the rules of challenging the overseer, this was the case. In the first 3 rounds of the competition, the students of the class that won the championship could directly gang up on the leader of the class and beat him up. All he had to do was eliminate the overseer. The final winner of this competition would be the class that won first place. The last batch of students from the Devil class were the entire class, all of them remaining till the last round. Hence, in tomorrow's challenge, according to the rules, all 62 students of Devil class would challenge Zi Qianqian alone at the same time. This was the rule set from the very beginning. It wasn't that Yi Qing Luo was afraid of others gossiping, but she wanted to challenge Zi Qianqian alone. On the contrary, she wanted to gang up on Zi Qianqian and end this competition as quickly as possible. But tomorrow she could only challenge it alone. Before the competition, the students of Devil class were attacked by the dark forces, causing them to suffer heavy losses. It was the medicinal pills which Demo Xian had sent over from the Imperial Palace which allowed the students of Devil class to hang on till now. If they continued to forcefully hang on, the students' bodies would not be able to take it. That medicinal pill was able to speedily heal the injuries on the body. But the side effects of the medicinal pill, it was too painful. Tomorrow was the final duration of the medicinal effect. Chapter 1240. Yi Qing Luo had already discussed with Old Man Guiyu, Yi Feng Yu and Peach. Tonight they would evacuate all the Devil class students from the academy and return to the World Mercenary Group's old mansion to recuperate. Old Man Guiyu and the rest would be in charge of guarding and taking care of them. After Demo Xian heard Yi Qing Luo's plan, his large palm caressed her hair as he spoke in a warm voice. "You don't have to worry about the dark forces. They are currently in a terrible mess because of the Imperial Palace. Furthermore, the plan to stop you from getting first place has already failed. I'm afraid they can't even protect themselves, so they don't have the time or mood to find trouble with you." Yi Qing Luo shrunk into his arms as she responded with a soft "But just in case, I'll send some Imperial Palace's disciples to stand guard outside the old mansion. You just have to concentrate on the competition." Demo Xian's slender fingers had already followed her fine black hair, brushing past her pink lips. Yi Qing Luo opened her mouth and bit his fingers as she gave a vague smile. With Ah Xian around, I'm very assured. Demo Xian's eyes turned gloomy. The moist and soft touch, because of their conversation, the soft feeling of her lips brushing past his fingers, made the feelings which he had suppressed with great difficulty to swell up. He squinted his long peach blossom eyes as his fingers fiercely rubbed her lips. His tone was evil. In a few days, I'll see how you cry and beg me for mercy. That ferocious look made Yi Qing Luo laugh happily. She laughed so hard in Diamo Xian's arms that her body kept shaking as she stretched out her hand and pinched his waist fiercely. I'll be waiting. As the two of them were laughing and fooling around, they didn't notice anything. A jade-green figure stood in the dark corner of the room. A ray of white light which was visible to the naked eye enveloped that figure. This person was Feng Ling. She stood in the dark corner as her eyes stared venomously at that tightly shut door. Her ears kept ringing with those blushing voices which she had heard earlier. She could even imagine in her mind those shameful things which they were doing in the room. The more she thought, the more painful her heart became. Her fingers trembled as they tightened one by one, curling up one by one. The next day, the curtains of the last round of competition began. After a few days of competition, the excitement of the representatives of the various forces had long since dissipated. In particular, when the final results of the class that won the championship yesterday came out, more than 2,000 people lost a lot of gold. Today, the entire square seemed to be extremely depressed, and there wasn't the slightest bit of excitement from a few days ago. Although Zi Qianqian from the class of gods was competing with the 62 students from the class of devils, adding on Yi Qing Luo, who could even completely oppress an earth-profound 9th grade cultivator. This match was definitely going to be exciting. But the onlookers were still uninterested. No matter how big the world was, it was not as big as the money they had lost. Who would have thought that the devil class that was known as the trash class, the class that gathered a bunch of weak and useless trash, would become a black horse that successfully broke through the encirclement. In this strange atmosphere, the atmosphere was very strange. The representatives of the Heavenly Academy stepped into the venue. However, the principal was nowhere to be seen. Yunduan walked at the front with a few elders following behind him. The 4 elders of the headquarters also entered from the other side. Only then did the atmosphere become more lively. After the opening speech, Yunduan succinctly explained the rules for today and immediately let Zi Qianqian and the devil class go on stage. Zi Qianqian was still dressed in an elegant white long dress today, her face like a green lotus, pure and moving. Her red lips curled up slightly, dazzling the eyes. Chapter 1241. Where are the devil class's students? It seems like I haven't seen any devil class students today. It's already time for the competition, why haven't I seen a single person? The students from the other classes all looked towards the devil class's waiting area. These few days, the devil class students would rush to the waiting area an hour before the competition. The competition had already begun, but not a single person could be seen. Speaking of which, in the dormitory they didn't see any devil class students today. Could it be that the devil class students have all run away? A student hesitantly raised his own guess. Immediately, another student hammered his head. The challenge competition is for the devil class's 62 students to challenge student Zi Qianqian alone, and there's still Yi Qing Luo. How could they have run away? Other than running away, I really can't think of any other reason that would cause all the devil class students to not come to the scene. With that said, everyone went silent. The crowd also focused their attention on the arena from the pain of losing a large amount of money. Are the devil class students here? Yun Duan saw the surrounding discussion getting louder and louder. He frowned and raised his voice to ask. His gaze sharply swept across the surroundings. The crowd looked left and right but didn't see any devil class students. Yun Duan's brows knitted even tighter. The champion class's challenge to the overseer is about to begin. If the devil class students are not here, it will be considered as the devil class has forfeited. The overseer Zi Qianqian's class will become the champion class of this year's interclass competition. The entire square fell into silence. Yun Duan continued. According to the interclass competition rules, If the Devil class students have not come up to the stage to accept the challenge, it will be considered as the Devil class has forfeited. 3. When the countdown began, the crowd started to whisper to each other. Don't tell me the Devil class really ran away? That's very possible. The Devil class students are a bunch of trash. Only Yiqing Luo can do it. This time the challenge competition is against the students from the class of gods. I guess Yiqing Luo doesn't have that confidence, so she brought her classmates and ran away. I was wondering why they agreed so readily yesterday, and there wasn't a single bit of surprise or fear. It seems like they had already thought of an escape route. 2. Cloud raised his voice and shouted out the second number. Only then did the surrounding people quiet down a little. Cloud narrowed his eyes and looked around, but he couldn't find anyone familiar. He hesitated for a moment, but under Yun Xiang's urging gaze, he slowly opened his mouth. At that moment, a red figure suddenly descended from the sky. Cloud only felt a gust of wind blowing his white hair into a mess. He saw Yiqing Luo standing steadily in front of Zi Qianqian. Her red dress fluttered in the wind like a blooming rose, absolutely stunning. Her black hair was not tied up and scattered over her shoulders. Since he had rushed over, his hair was messy, but it was not impolite. The Yiqing Luo with her hair scattered over her shoulders had a charm that was different from the past. Amidst the charm, there was a trace of pure and holy aura. In an instant, the crowd's gaze shifted from Zi Qianqian to Yiqing Luo. Chapter 1242. This was the voice of countless people. Two completely different types of beauties. They were two beauties with completely different temperaments and clothes. At this moment, Yiqing Luo had completely outshone Zi Qianqian. The crowd all felt that Yiqing Luo was using some underhanded trick. She couldn't win Zi Qianqian in terms of ability. At least in terms of looks, she had to win Zi Qianqian. If Yiqing Luo knew what everyone was thinking, she would definitely spit out blood. She would appear in such a way and even rush to the stage at this time. It was completely, because of that shameless beast. Yiqing Luo stared fiercely at the direction of the elder. Dmo Xian wore Senior Mo's face as he chatted with the elder beside him as he sat down. As though he sensed Yiqing Luo's gaze, he raised his head and met her eyes. Immediately, her shimmering peach blossom eyes curved into a demonic arc. His obsidian-like eyes shone brightly. His slender fingers gently caressed his rosy lips. Smiling as though he hadn't had enough, Yiqing Luo's face turned red in an instant. Now, she completely understood that this shameless beast was absolutely not someone she could provoke. She wanted to take advantage of her inconvenience to challenge Dmo Xian's authority. The final result was, last night, she herself was provoked by Dmo Xian to the point that she didn't want to. In the end, Dmo Xian acted as though nothing had happened as he turned over to sleep. Damn it. This was clearly a deliberate act of revenge, right? She couldn't fall asleep because of the torment last night. With great difficulty, he finally managed to fall asleep. This time, he almost missed today's match. Taking a deep breath, Yiqing Luo expressed that she must maintain her composure in such a serious challenge. Student Yiqing Luo, where are the other students in Devil class? Yun Duan looked around and didn't see any other students. Yiqing Luo casually combed her hair into a ponytail as she replied, "For today's competition, I'll be fine alone." One person? Has Yiqing Luo gone mad? I think she's too arrogant and conceited. You think that you can defeat Lu Shuiyu, who is at the 9th grade of the Earth Profound Realm, and you also think that you can easily defeat Zi Qianqian, who is in the class of gods. The class of gods is called the class of gods because the class of gods is a place for godlike people. No matter how powerful Yiqing Luo is, she's just a mortal. The onlookers and the spectating class were in an uproar. Those who were originally looking at Yiqing Luo with astonished gazes had all changed. Replacing it was disdain towards Yiqing Luo's conceit. Even Zi Qianqian, who was standing opposite Yi Qing Luo, also revealed some ridicule because of her words. Her pair of beautiful eyes meaningfully swept past Yi Qing Luo and fell onto the direction of the main courtyard seating. It seemed like she hadn't misjudged him yesterday. Between Yi Qing Luo and Supreme Mo of the main courtyard, there must be some ambiguous relationship. Yesterday Supreme Mo carried Yi Qing Luo intimately as he left. Today, the two of them rushed to the West Billow Square at the same time. Only a ghost would believe that there was nothing between them. Under Zi Qianqian's probing gaze, Yi Qing Luo frowned slightly. Somehow, she felt that something was being spied on by Zi Qianqian. Just as she was about to ponder deeply, Yun Duan's voice rang beside her ear. "You want to challenge student Zi Qianqian alone? Student Yi Qing Luo, are you sure?" Yi Qing Luo regained her senses, her eyes filled with smiles as she nodded towards Yun Duan. "Yes, I'm sure." Seeing Yi Qing Luo's determined gaze, Yun Duan didn't ask any further. After reporting his arrival, he took his leave. Chapter 1243. Student Yi Qing Luo, I really don't know if I should say that you are too confident, or should I say that you are smart. Zi Qianqian's brows revealed a trace of ridicule. Yi Qing Luo raised her brows. "What do you think? Being able to defeat Lu Shui you doesn't mean that your strength has already surpassed the 9th grade of the Earth Profound Realm." In the end, Zi Qianqian suddenly lowered her voice and revealed a meaningful smile on her delicate face. "You know very well how you beat Lu Shuiyu." Yi Qing Luo blinked her eyes, tilted her head and smiled sweetly. "So? You?" The smile on Zi Qianqian's face froze, and a word escaped from between his teeth. She originally thought that after hearing what she said, Yi Qing Luo would definitely be flustered. In fact, he would even beg her not to tell the truth about the matter. Unexpectedly, Yi Qing Luo was actually so calm. And he didn't take it seriously? Did she really think that I wouldn't dare to expose her relationship with Supreme Mo? Zi Qianqian clenched his fists tightly. He had once been suppressed by Yi Qing Luo in King Ling's tomb, and now in the arena competition, because of his looks, he was suppressed by Yi Qing Luo once again. This time, she definitely had to get back at him and prove herself. She was absolutely stronger than Yi Qing Luo. Zi Qianqian's expression became extremely serious. A dazzling and resplendent profound light broke out from his body. Boundless energy instantly enveloped the entire arena. Because of Yi Qing Luo and Lu Shuiyu's match yesterday, the arena stage was severely damaged, and because of the strong profound energy, it almost hurt the spectator seat. Today's barrier was formed by two more student elders. The entire arena was a completely different space from the outside world. Thus, the profound energy Zi Qianqian released became extremely strong in this arena. The entire arena shook because of this surge of profound energy. This power, Yi Qing Luo was slightly astonished. To be honest, she really did not take Zi Qianqian seriously. Even though they were students of the class of gods, they were still students. Although Zi Qianqian was also the vice-captain of the third mercenary group, the Azura group, he was not a match for Zi Qianqian. But to be able to reach the position of vice-leader, especially in the rankings, it was a well-known mercenary group. No matter what he did, there would always be someone to do it for him. Even if Zi Qianqian was extremely talented, her actual combat experience was definitely not comparable to hers. In any case, he was someone who had lived two lives. However, she really didn't expect Zi Qianqian's profound rank had actually reached the 7th grade of the Earth Profound Realm. Zi Qianqian was extremely talented, but she was only 17 this year. At such a young age, he had already reached the 7th grade of the Earth Profound Realm. As expected of a student from the class of gods. Rumor has it that it seems to be a green rank Profound Heart Jade. In the entire Nirvana realm, one might not be able to find more than 10 people with a 4th grade Profound Heart Jade. Yi Qing Luo wielded the glower flame fan and released a whirlwind, forming a protective film that blocked off the profound qi. She narrowed her eyes and thought carefully about how to deal with Zi Qianqian. Zi Qianqian was at the 7th grade of the Earth Profound Realm, while she was at the 4th grade of the Earth Profound Realm. It was 3 grades higher, but the difference was like the distance between heaven and earth. It was equivalent to she had hit Zi Qianqian. Zi Qianqian would at most be injured. However, if Zi Qianqian's attack landed on her body, even if he didn't die, he would lose half his life. Fighting Zi Qianqian was different from fighting the mysterious person who impersonated Lu Shuiyu. After all, the mysterious man had a guilty conscience and did not dare to reveal his identity. Yiqing Luo grasped that mentality and secretly poisoned him to settle that mysterious man. But Zi Qianqian was different.